He's riveted still.
There is the fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone. Hello and welcome to Indefinite Lunch in Infinite Combinations. This is number 150, and we're exploring all of the Twilight Zone. Today, we're taking a closer look at the last two episodes of Season 1, The Mighty Casey and A World of His Own. And so we've got two episodes here, and we're gonna take a look at them. But before that, I'd like to say hello to who has joined us today. We've got, well, before the show even started, we had DJ Play Nice telling me to have an awesome show. No matter how busy he is, he always makes the time to say hello, even if it is the night before, and that is very, very sweet. Pleasant Valley Picker CA also showed up really early this morning. He said, "A World of His Own is a favorite." Sterling, oh yeah, Sterling. Yeah, thank you for sharing the end of the end of the last episode we're covering today. Sterling showing up to break the fourth wall makes me laugh every time. Yes, it's hilarious. And it's not going to be hilarious unless you watch it anyway. So it's okay that you shared it. And he's leaving this comment now since he's working. And I'll play it for you since you want to start at the end. PvP, we'll start at the end. It is pretty special, but we're gonna go into it in further detail later. But you'll get a bit of a tease of it now.
Well, that's the way it goes.
Yes, and just like that, Gorilla. No, I'm just kidding. I did not fire Scotty. He's just not here yet. He intends to be here. He said he will be here, so he'll probably be here. I'm not worried. I just wanted to get started. Gorilla, I've got this channel well in hand. I know what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure anyway. And here's DJ Knight. DJ Knight was also here early this morning. Then he was here. Oh, yeah, he's here now. So that's good. Hey. And DJ Knight is having fun. That is great. Great. Sig Valdison says A World of His Own has a very high appeal to me. Me too. But we've got to start with the baseball episode first. So we've got to make some runs before we can create characters with our imagination. Sig Valdison says, "Praise to our eldritch God. Through his new enlightenment, humanity will experience joy as their burdens are forever removed, never to worry about their troubles that plague their lives. Push the button, DC." And yes, that is Sig Valdison's message for today. If you remember that message, remind Harvey to try to escape this Friday. So, hey, and also Jacob Ironside's here. That's wonderful. Good to see you. And also Watcher X. Watcher X is here. And good morning or high noon approaches. Ooh, high noon. Is there going to be a duel? Sig Valdison says, Q, the good, the bad, and the ugly music. Ooh. And kapla to Gorilla's censored thoughts. See, I was trying to not say Gorilla's random thoughts. I did it this time. Rest in peace, season 1. That's right. These are the last 2 episodes of season 1. And so I'm delighted that Words and Pictures could join us too. Hello, Jill. Good to be here in the Twilight Zone with you. Thank heavens he's not here. Oh, that clip always makes me happy. I'm gonna play it even though I don't believe it. I would like Scotty to be here, but he'll be here when he's here. But here it is just for you, Gavin Blackburn.
Thank heavens he's gone.
So, without further ado, let's look at these episodes. First with the Mighty Casey. And just checking communications. Yeah, all right, we're good. So the Mighty Casey first aired on June 17th, 1960. And the title for this comes from a little poem. It says it's a fable, but it's a poem. It's a poem and a fable. But how is it a fable? Because there's no animals talking. It's a poem. And it's called Casey at Bat. And I think it's an entertaining poem, actually. I might read it later. If not, summarize it if I don't read it. So this episode was written by Rod Serling. It's a comedy episode. So our second to last episode is a comedy one. It was directed by Robert Parrish and Alvin Ganser. So I was curious about this. Was this a collaboration or did they work together? No, they did not work together. There's a reason. And you know what that reason was? It was reshoots. They had to do reshoots for this episode. And we're going to talk about why as we get further along into the review. So this is a baseball episode. The baseball scenes for this were filmed at the Los Angeles version of Wrigley Field. This is often used for Hollywood films, and also the TV series Home Run Derby, which is something I've totally never watched in my entire life. But that, if anybody knows what that is, I'm sure lots of other things were filmed here, baseball related. And so for our cast, of course, we've got Jack Warden as Mouth McGarry, who's the manager of the baseball team. And then there's Abraham Sofair, who plays Dr. Stillman, who we'll find out what he's a doctor of. Robert Sorrells plays Casey, the titular character. Alan Dexter plays Beasley, and I keep forgetting, who's Beasley? I'm watching the story. There's some characters that I don't pay attention to, so I'm not sure which one's Beasley or which one's Don O'Kelly, played by Don Kelly Monk. Yeah, that one I don't pay attention to that one either. Then there's the team doctor, which I pay way more attention to, played by Jonathan Hull. And then we have Rusty Lane playing the baseball commissioner. And we have Scotty Earth 37 playing the late guy. Hello.
That's me. I'm the late guy.
Yes.
Thank
See,
you
he's here
for
now.
having me.
Gavin says yay. Oh, wait. Maybe he doesn't say yay to you being here because that was 4 minutes ago. But let's just pretend he said yay to you being here because I do.
I like make believe.
Good. Jedi Masters all tuckered out after the Lost in Space stream. Well, actually, he would be here, but he had to take care of his puppy.
Puppies take
It's
priority.
It's about time the late guy got here. Actually,
It's true. Booger.
Could you read for me the opening narration for this one?
For sure. Hey, Sigbaldison. And a more recent yay. Thank you. Good to see you. All right, let's see. What you're looking at is a ghost, once alive but now deceased. Once upon a time, it was a baseball stadium that housed a major league ball club known as the Hoboken Zephyrs. Now it houses nothing but memories and a wind that stirs in the high grass of what was once an outfield. A wind that sometimes bears a faint ghostly resemblance to the roar of a crowd that once sat here. We're back in time now, when the Hoboken Zephyrs were still a part of the National League, and this mausoleum of memories was an honest-to-Pete stadium. But since this is strictly a story of make-believe, it has to start this way. Once upon a time in Hoboken, New Jersey, it was tryout day, and though he's not yet on the field, you're about to meet a most unusual fella, a left-handed pitcher named Casey. And we get Jack Warden.
That's Jack Warden. He's the coach or the manager in this episode. He's not too happy about his team. They have one pitcher who only allowed 6 runs to get by him during one inning, which is supposed to be a good thing. It's not the best thing. I suppose it could be worse than that, but they're going to try a new pitcher who is left-handed. So that's what we're going to try out here in a minute. Oh my goodness, a tornado warning. Please be safe, Jacob. I understand if you've got to take care of yourself and go do the safety things that are required. I've never lived in well, I haven't had the displeasure of being afraid of a tornado, just a hurricane.
I've had neither. Because of Oz. Hey,
oh, okay. I was sort of like, why are you singing such upbeat music to a tornado warning? Now I get it. Yes. A robot. Yes. A robot.
He's a robot.
Don't say that word. Send in Bob Hope says Canadian Spider-Man.
Hey, Spidey.
Yeah, hello. So, actually, Jack Warden is important to stop on for a minute because there's a lot going on here, actually, behind the scenes for this particular episode.
Oh.
First, the good thing. You'll remember Jack Warden from The Lonely, another robot episode. He was the inmate who had the female robot companion. But unfortunately, their first choice for the manager for the baseball team was somebody else. They wanted Sterling wanted Paul Douglas, who actually was in another baseball movie. Oh, I forget which one. There was something gutsy and ballsy about this guy, and you could always count on him. But he had a yes, please do while I read this. He had a reputation for being heavy on the bottle, but it had been somewhat dispelled over the last 2 or 3 years. And his agent guaranteed us that he would not drink or be drinking during that time.
Yeah, I know what that's like.
Anyway,
he was in the original Angels in the Outfield.
There it is. Yeah, I knew he did some baseball thing. Thank you. And yeah, that threw me off. I thought Angels in the Outfield was a 90s movie, but apparently that wasn't the original.
It's the remake.
Yeah. Pitchulon 5000. Yes, that's right. We're getting a robot. Greek Letters Larson says you can hide from a tornado, but you can't hide from me. I can see you. No, wait. Wrong movie again. Sorry, folks. Wait, what movie is that?
Twister.
Oh, that's Twister?
No, I don't know. I just had to guess a tornado movie, and that's the one that came to my mind. I already used up my Wizard of Oz. I got to go with something else.
I don't know. For Twister, I
But-
just remember the cow. Anyway,
right, yeah.
the quotes continue.
Don't call
anyway,
Helen Hunt a cow.
Anyway, we look at the first day's rushes, and Paul Douglas looks, even in black and white, modeled. High color,
Oh.
semi-diffuse, a breath so short that he couldn't continue one short staccato sentence without gasping for breath. So right away, I make the assumption that he's drunk, he's drinking, and I blew my top. I called his agent and I said, "This is very unethical of you. You assured me he wasn't drinking." And his agent says, "To the best of my knowledge, he's not drinking." Well, we finished the show and it was a disaster. We finished shooting, I think, on a Thursday and Saturday morning. And on Saturday morning, Douglas was dead.
Oh, my.
What he had been suffering, of course, was an incipient coronary. And we were watching him literally die in front of us. Well, we did a this is a long quote. If you want to interrupt it for a second.
Well, I just want to say, like, one of the most dangerous things that a full-blooded alcoholic can possibly do, if there was a proviso in his contract saying he cannot drink, and he was trying to, because Angels in the Outfield was 1951. He had a fairly decent career kicking around in the 1950s, but this would have been 1960. And so if it's like, this is your big shot, you can get back on that horse. And the thing is that if an alcoholic stops drinking cold turkey, that can be even more detrimental to their health than continuing on. So I'm not surprised, although I am surprised because, we finished on Thursday. He was dead on Saturday. That's a surprise. But yeah, that can take you out of the game. No pun intended.
Yeah, they didn't realize they were watching him die while he was working. And he finishes the quote, "We did a rough cut of the film. I took it over to CBS and said to them, 'Well, gentlemen, this is the one substantial piece of celluloid you're going to have to eat because there's nothing funny about this show.'" And so, but unfortunately, CBS didn't agree and they didn't allow for reshoots. So, in order to get this episode made, out of pocket, this is from that book. Which book is it? The Twilight Zone Companion by Mark Scott Zicree. Yes. So out of pocket, Serling spent $27,000 of 1960 money, which is a ton, to recast, reshoot, and re-edit the show. And there's no evidence, like they didn't save the footage of Douglas in that state. In the state that he was in. And so they brought in Jack Warden to reshoot everything and broadcast it as the second to last episode, the penultimate episode of season 1. And so that's what happened with this particular actor. Kind of a crazy thing. And there's actually 2 crazy things that happens in this episode. I mean, to the actors. Because, okay, I'll say it in a minute. Let's meet. So we're going to meet the pitcher played by Robert Sorrells. And he's a robot pitcher. But unfortunately, well, it doesn't happen now. But in 2005 or 2004, Sorrells was, this is from Wikipedia, Sorrells was drinking in a bar in Simi Valley. This isn't him.
No.
When he became belligerent. Another patron, Arthur DeLong, forcibly escorted Sorrells from the bar. Sorrells went home, got his pistol, and returned to the bar where he shot DeLong in the back at point blank range, killing him. Then he shot a bystander named Edward Sanchez, with whom he had no previous interaction. He then fled the scene in a Volkswagen van, but was arrested a short distance away. So So he was charged, of course, with a 1 count of premeditated murder and 1 count of attempted premeditated murder. Sorrells pled not guilty by reason of insanity, but entered a guilty plea in 2005, and he died in 2019 at the age of 88.
In prison?
Yes, in prison. He was still in prison
Oh.
because he was serving a sentence of 32 years to life.
So I guess
Yeah.
it was life.
Yeah, well, yeah, you kill, well, you try to kill 2 people, kill one of them. Damn.
Wow.
And so this episode kind of, I don't know, it has some tragedy behind it.
I was gonna say that it's funny that we talked about looking for Parmok in all the wrong places on Friday. Sort of a light, flippant episode that doesn't fit perfectly. It's a comedic episode, and you don't get a lot of those with the Twilight Zone. And now I find out that there's a shadow cast over this entire.
Yeah, sorry
production.
about that.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
Pretend he doesn't become a murderer later.
I can't. I can't.
But somebody throws a ball at him and he doesn't react at all. And so there are little comedic bits and stuff. So apparently also Casey's right hand shake hurts Jack Warden tremendously, and cartoon music begins to play. So completely forget about the murder charges and let's go back to the cartoon.
Okay, sure.
Oops. I didn't do that. My goodness. Did it look like you dropped out?
Briefly, yeah, but you saved the day.
I did. I don't know why StreamYard does that.
Oh. Be thankful I didn't shoot you in the back. Wait.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to forget it.
Yeah, apparently not. And so so this robot doesn't know how to control his own strength, and Casey thanks McGarry's manager, for letting him play, and his doctor, the Dr. Stillman. We kind of didn't talk about Dr. Stillman because there was so much other drama to talk about. So Dr. Stillman's played by Abraham Sofair, probably. And so he's of course Casey's creator. And so then they're about to play the game, and Casey doesn't have a father because Stillman's his creator. And Dr. Stillman says Casey's only 3 weeks old. So now that explains how Casey acts when the ball bounces off his head. He's a robot, as everybody knows already by now. And so he doesn't have normal reactions to things. If it doesn't really hurt him, he's not going to act like it does. And Stillman is so excited about his robot, he shows off the blueprints and the technical specifications of how he created Casey. Just carries it around with him everywhere he goes. So,
oh my!
Casey throws a fastball so intense that it goes through the umpire's glove. And, well, I guess it was lucky it didn't go straight through his hand. He could have crippled this man.
Yes, he could have. However, I did want to point out that
yes,
Dr. Stillman, in the episode of Charlie X, he plays, I'm assuming, the voice of a Thasian.
Oh, he does. His godlike father figure.
Yeah.
Wow, he's a father figure in here too, but that's funny.
A nicer one. Actually, I don't know. I don't want to do the comparison, but
well, I don't
nice
necessarily think. Yeah, I don't think Charlie X's caretakers were Malicious is just that they couldn't care for him like corporeal beings could have. It
Mhm.
was just, I guess it was just too late for that Charlie X. He had too much power.
It's all fun and games until you erase a woman's face.
That's so horrifying. That's such great effect.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back
In
at the
my mind now.
ball field.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's his curve.
Oh, this slide whistle in this. Oh, it's a little insufferable, but I think it's Jack Warden who really pulls it off, like ties the comedy together.
I just don't know how I feel about cartoon sounds in my live action TV show, but I guess I get it from Gilligan's Island too. So
That's true. That's true. I'm glad that there is no like in here. That's helpful.
they could have. If you would have told Sterling, he was like, "Dang, I should have used that."
Yes.
He seemed to really play up the sounds.
It's not.
and
I think it's a matter of direction. But again,
Yeah,
it's a lighthearted fluff, and it's based on a like the title is based on a famous poem, The Mighty Casey
Yeah.
Struck Out.
It is. Do you think I should read it?
How long is it?
It's a little long, but it's not the longest. We have enough time.
Well, if you'd like to. Let's do it. Do you want to do it at the end, just so we don't interrupt the flow of the episode?
Okay. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I didn't mean for it now. I meant at the end. I said it. I actually said this earlier when you weren't here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. The Empire can already tell the picture isn't human. And McGarry, he agrees that he could play. So he's totally okay with being dishonest. He says.
Well, he's got dreams of glory.
He does.
That's one we'll just keep in the family here, huh? Don't ever say the word R-O-B-B-O-T-T.
I knew you would love the spelling.
I did. Robot. Just too many T's.
Ribbit.
Too many B's. Well, it looks like you got a little potential there, Casey. He really downplays it as much as possible. Like, yeah, I'll do you a favor, Casey.
See, and I like that the Dr. Stillman, he wanted to test the robot, because I like, again, as we watch Twilight Zone episodes, I'm always waiting for fatal flaws. I'm always waiting for things to happen so that the O. Henry happens. And in this one, I was like, oh, Dr. Stillman's like a weasel who wants to make money off of his creation. And it's like, that's not it at all. It's purely science.
Yes, it's just experimentation, just to see if he can do it. And in order to have the best test, he wanted to test against the worst baseball team he could find.
Yeah, thanks, Doc.
And so, of course, the Zephyrs start winning where they were losing before, and Casey pitches 3 shutouts. And so this is where I look up what shutouts mean. That means that the pitcher wouldn't let the other team score, and that's how they won, because they didn't allow the runs to happen.
An incredible feat in baseball as well.
It is.
I'm not a sports guy, so if it happens all the time, don't at me.
Well, I don't see it very often in Little League, at least when I watch the kids play.
Can you imagine a shutout in T-ball?
That would be so funny.
That'd be embarrassing.
Wow, I want to see that now. That's got to be somewhere. Yeah. Anyway, then after 14 wins, putting his team that puts his team in 4th place of the whole league. However, okay, so then I learned another baseball term for the first time. Then there's a cartoon conk on the head, and Casey is injured. He's been beamed. And so that means that that he got hit by a pitch, so he must have been batting at that time. He didn't that particular game was not a shutout if he was at bat.
Yeah, because then they would have had a. Well, but the thing is, even if he was beamed, he already got hit by a fly into the dugout. So he would have been able, if he got hit in the head by he doesn't have the capacity to fake being injured. If he got hit in the head with a pitch, he would have just stood there. And then I guess the doctor, like the team doctor would have said, "Oh, okay, no, we have to take him off the field because he got hit in the head with a fastball." Hey, Tony, Stone Iron is here.
I'm sneezing 100 times. Sorry, guys, I have allergies today. Give me a second.
Oh no, are you allergic to slide whistles?
Yes.
Bit? Good to see you, Tony.
Yeah, you know what? These allergies did start happening after I started watching these episodes. Oh, yes. Hello, Tony. How are you? He says, "Olo." Charlie X kind of reminds me of Valentine Michael Smith. Says booger.
Booger. Jill's looking for it. Booger! There we go.
Oh, yeah, you're right. This episode established that he can get hit in the head with the baseball and not be injured, and suddenly now he's injured. Maybe he has I guess there maybe is he can get hit on the head 100 times, but after that then he starts to be affected.
Right. Well, and again, I think
I'm giving it.
I'm giving this episode a lot of leeway just because I know that having actors play baseball is a difficult proposition. You either have to get baseball players who can act, or you have to get actors who can play baseball. And in this, it's obvious that there is a pitching stand-in, and possibly how much time they have available on the field in terms of, getting a baseball field like that. And especially twice. Like, they probably did all their baseball stuff in one day, and then they had to do it again with Jack Warden.
Yes, and definitely. And they also have to have somebody tend to the field and to work the scoreboard. And so he gets examined by the doctor. And so, of course, you know what's going to happen. His little secret is going to be let out. And that's exactly the first thing I thought when I was watching this. I was like, wait, what about his heart? And that's exactly what happens. And more cartoon sounds for the doctor to discover Casey has no heartbeat. And the baseball commissioner reads from the rule book. Oh, wait, I actually have this. I got some clips today.
Oh, nice.
How could he be human without a heart?
Wait, not that one.
A team shall consist of 9 men. End of quote. Men, understand? Not robots. He's suspended.
There you go. There's the proper pronunciation. Booger says slide whistles are cool, and Gavin Blackburn says better use of the slide whistle than in The Man with the Golden Gun. Yes. Jill, you saw The Man with the Golden Gun, right?
I did see The Man with the Golden Gun.
So that corkscrew jump where Bond goes over the river on the broken bridge, there's a slide whistle. And if anything in the history of the James Bond franchise ever demanded, that would have been it. That's when it should have happened. But they did a slide whistle because the 70s, I suppose.
Yeah, you don't want cartoon sounds in your James Bond movie. That was weird. Now I remember that. But that movie had a cool helicopter.
No. What?
All right. Was that a different movie? I
think
get them
that
all
was a different
mixed up.
movie. Yeah.
Which one had the Which one had the little yellow helicopter?
Little Nelly? I think that was I want to say that was You Only Live Twice. I think so. Little Nelly. I think.
Well, it was at this point of the episode that I thought of Measure of a Man, and so Riker here.
To all intents and purposes, he is human.
There are a couple of things that reminded me of Data in this one, especially when Dr. Stillman is saying, "Oh, and I created a robot that was highly skilled in home economics, could cook and clean, and she was so good at it, I had to dismantle her." And I was like, "What? All right."
Well, he was gaining too much weight.
Oh, he was gaining too much weight. That's right.
So for vanity purposes, he couldn't control himself and not eat everything she was cooking, so he had to get rid of her.
Seems extreme.
It
but then
is,
again,
right?
this is a tale. Both of these episodes are tales of creating life
They are.
and dismissing them just as easily because you are the master of their domain.
That's right. And judging them based on your standards of life.
How could he be human without a heart?
Beasley hasn't got a heart either, and he owns 40% of the club.
Love it.
I did like that one. And so Dr. Stillwater offers to make Casey a heart. So maybe,
Stillwater, not Stillman.
Stillwater?
I've been getting it wrong. No, I've been getting it wrong.
Okay. So this part is not like Measure of a Man. No one had to fix Data to prove he was a human or sentient, incapable of independent thought. But it's still cool. This is, for a comedy episode to even touch on that issue is great. The commissioner gives the doctor a chance to build Casey a heart, whatever that means, as a heart goes for a android. And the doctor's like, yeah, if he has a heart, yeah, sure, he's human. I'm a doctor. I'm allowed to say this. And then Mick Gary's excited about this, that they'll still be able to win. They're going to win the pennant for the first time in years. And so then in the next game, the coach tries to talk up his team to win without Casey, using Casey as a motivation since he's in surgery, getting his new heart installed. And it's really nice that he's encouraging his team to win on their own, but then Casey walks in, and that's actually what encourages the team.
I enjoy a good delayed reaction as much as the next person, but this one was a little too cartoon. Hey, Casey. And then it's like a minute later, it's like, Casey! It's like, all right. Yeah, I get it. You guys are dim. And DJ Knight is here.
Yeah. It was an extreme delayed response. Yeah, hello, DJ Knight. I read your earlier chats from several hours ago, also.
Don't worry, I was late too. Booger
And
says says that oil can on the headboard seems to be a nice little callback to the Tin Man of Oz. I thought that was interesting as well. It was kind of like Chekhov's oil can that never got used. I thought it was, yeah, see, there it is. I thought that was cute. That
is kind of cute. Oh, okay. So right after they find out he's a robot, suddenly there's a tin can there. And that's great. That is a reference, an oil can. An oil can for the Tin Man, who in The Wizard of Oz also wants a heart. So that makes sense. And they're happy. They're happy to have. They're happy to have their player back, their star player, Casey. And so he actually says that I feel like togetherness. Like he feels like the feeling of togetherness.
Oh, it was And again, because it's Twilight Zone, you're sort of guessing, you're trying to figure out where it's going to go. What is the thing? And I was like, oh, he's going to be a jerk, or he's going to be all sad. And it was like, nope, actually, it's rather a pleasant, happy story.
Yeah. The opposing team hits one of Casey's balls, and a cartoon defeatist horn music plays. I should have got that one. I like that sound. And that's when I realized that Casey was letting them win. They were hitting everything, and that's the only way that made any sense. And so for some reason, they continue to allow Casey to pitch, even though they're still stuck in the first inning and they can't get out of the first inning, and they've got 14 runs on them. But also, let's see. It's kind of cute and funny. And so I've got that here.
I just couldn't strike those poor fellas out. I didn't have it in me to do that, to hurt their feelings. I felt compassion.
Until that fateful day in the early 2000s when a man called me a jerk in a bar, at which point I had to go home, get my gun, drive back in my Volkswagen van, and dispense some justice.
Wow, you remembered that story really well.
Yeah, true.
I already forgot about the Volkswagen.
Anyway,
the problem with Casey is that he's got a heart, but he didn't grow up to learn about competitiveness or drive or ego, and so he can never play baseball again. Dr. Stillman says Casey should use his talents to help people by doing some social work. So he's going to go do social work.
He wants to help people.
Yes. He doesn't want them to feel bad. That would have been fun, except for why does the doctor give him the blueprints? The only reason to give the coach the blueprints is because he wants him to use them.
No, it was a memento to make him happy. But he's a schemer. Like if it were me, it would have been a situation of, but also it does sort of add that tag at the end. I would have framed it and said, this is the greatest ball player we ever had on this team. But as the closing narration explains,
once upon a time, there was a Major League Baseball team called the Hoboken Zephyrs, who, during the last year of their existence, wound up in last place, and shortly thereafter wound up in oblivion. There's a rumor, unsubstantiated of course, that a manager named McGarry took them to the West Coast and wound up with several pennants and a couple of world championships. This team had a pitching staff that made history. Of course, none of them smiled very much, but it happens to be a fact that they pitched like nothing human. And if you're interested as to where these gentlemen came from, you might check under B for baseball in the Twilight Zone.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yes. And so that's this episode. I like the actual poem.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go over what we think about this episode first before I read that. It was a cartoon episode. I mean, in reality, if you had robots causing pitches this fast that blew holes through things, there would be a lot more death.
Yes. Well, and I think, I think this is a light, silly episode that could have gone differently in the Twilight Zone, where he was given a heart and then, but I guess it's a romantic, not Valentine's Day romantic, but sort of a higher calling romantic that that just sort of shrouds the episode, because again, it's based on the poem where the Mighty Casey struck out. In this one, Mighty Casey walked away from it all
well,
because
what's the
he
point?
wanted to help. Why would I waste my talents with such a silly game, a foolish trifle such as this? Actually, I'm being far more eloquent than Casey. Casey was kind of a dummy.
Yeah, well, especially even when he was a robot, he couldn't seem to interact. And only after he got a heart did he have any sort of capability of speech. And even then, it was Forrest Gump level. Yeah. Like, why did they make a robot so stupid?
Well, but again, like in this, it's not a matter of creating a perfect brain. It was a matter of doing menial tasks, part of the workforce. And so if you have someone who's physically and accurately more adept, why not test it with one of the most difficult things? Although batting is, I would think, more difficult than pitching. But again, I'm not a sports guy.
It requires more accuracy. Yeah. Well, no, pitching is difficult too, because you've got to pitch it just so that it's right inside the box that you can get them out. Otherwise, you're going to cause a whole bunch of balls and allow the batter to walk if you're not a very good pitcher.
Well, and that was the one thing that I thought was a failed opportunity or a missed opportunity, is that there is a point where he does the slow ball and the guy swings twice, and it's like, I can't believe he got 2 strikes on 1 pitch. But they didn't say that. I was rewriting the episode.
Oh, that would be cute.
Greek Letters says, okay, no one wants to say it, so I'll do it. I'll take the heat. This episode is dumb. It is dumb, but it's dumb in a nice, fluffy way. I like it. Like it's not my favorite. It doesn't challenge me. It's just like, oh, okay, a robot shows up. We got a down on his luck manager. We try and cheat the system, and then when we try and fix the system that we're cheating, or try and fix how we're cheating the system, it turns out that free will breaks the chains. I'm not a slave. I can do whatever I want, and so I will. I couldn't hurt their feelings. I liked it. But yeah, no, this is one that's going to be like, oh yeah, if anybody ever brings this up to me ever again in my life, I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that one. That was kind of cute. Had Jack Warden and the murderer. This is like
if
watching
I ever
an
see
O.J.
this
Simpson movie.
It is like watching an O.J. Simpson movie. But if I ever watch it again, I want it to be animated. Somebody has to animate it for me to watch this one a second time.
I'm in. Classic Comics is here. Hello.
Oh. Classic Comics is here. Hello, Classic Comics. Booger says, and all those years later, we never saw Data play a single baseball game. Is that really progress?
Well, Data did go to Deep Space Nine, but he stayed on the Enterprise the entire time. So that's why.
And Booger414 says, it occurs to me that even to this day, the Major League Baseball does not have a rule against robots playing. And so that, of course, reminds me of all those movies where they have a dog play basketball. Did they have a problem with the dog playing? I think they did. It was,
and
I can't remember.
There was what's his name? Matt LeBlanc. He was in a movie called Ed, and there was an orangutan. I think it was an orangutan. Maybe it was a gorilla, but it was called Ed, and they were on a baseball team.
And the orangutan played baseball?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Words and Pictures says, Casey being a robot made me think of the TV show Casey Jones and his locomotive. There was a real life Casey Jones who sacrificed himself, saving people in a 1900 train wreck, pulling the train whistle to warn all the people around to escape the stalled train blocking the track. So real Casey and robot Casey sacrifice themselves for others because they have big hearts.
That's rad.
Wow, that's a good story.
I don't know the real story of Casey Jones. I only know the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Casey Jones.
Booger414 says Boston Dynamics was founded in part to make a robot that could do a backflip.
Then
Oh,
they gave it
yes,
a heart and it could no longer do gymnastics.
Yes. Classic Comics says, has anyone seen the footage of the robot going berserk and attacking its programmer? No, I have not seen this. That sounds terrifying. Straight out of Black Mirror.
Well, and they were warned. Like, everybody who works with robots should know by now. I mean, you've seen Westworld, The Terminator, The Animatrix, like any of this stuff. I'm going to build a robot that can destroy humanity. There couldn't possibly be a downside.
Yeah, that's true. And these robots aren't even sentient yet, and they're already doing this kind of thing. It's creepy.
They already know.
Burger414 says, I am not sure it is dumb. The lessons of the script have the usual morality tales, but also relevant today with our AI debates, as we just started doing just a second ago. Very, very awesome point, Booger. Brilliant.
Yeah, I don't think it's kind of dumb, but I think it's also because it's so light. I think the way that it is, it's more of a humorous, whimsical story than it is a typical. And then the robot went berserk, throwing baseballs at the entire infield. They died horribly. Never put a machine where a man should be doing the work. Kind of thing that the Twilight Zone usually does.
Yeah, they could have done that. That would be a possibility. I'm glad that didn't happen.
Me too.
So I guess I don't have to read the whole poem, but it's a cute poem. It's about a team that wasn't doing so great, and they were hoping and hoping that Casey could up to bat because he's great at bat, and magically, and so I'm totally rewriting it. Magically, everybody ends up on every base. So 3 people make it onto each base. You got bases are loaded, and so everyone's excited. And Casey is finally up to bat, and okay, I can read it from here. 10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hands with dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded when he wiped them on his shirt. Then, while writhing pitcher ground the ball into his hip, defiance gleamed in Casey's eye. A sneer curled Casey's lip. And now the leather-covered sphere came hurtling through the air, and Casey stood watching in haughty grandeur there. Close by, the sturdy batsman, the baseball unheeded speed. That ain't my style, said Casey. Strike one, the umpire said. From the benches, black with people, there went up a muffled roar, like the beating of the storm waves on a stern and distant shore. Kill him! Kill the umpire! Shouted someone in the stand. And it's likely they'd have killed him had not Casey raised his hand. With the smile of Christian charity, great Casey's visage shone. He stilled the rising tumult. He bade the game go on. He signaled to the pitcher, and once more the spheroid flew, but Casey still ignored it. And the umpire said, Strike two! Broad! Cried the maddening... Do you want to read the rest of it? Do you have it?
No, you keep going. You keep going.
It's almost done. Here.
You're doing a great job. Keep going.
Fraud! Cried the maddening thousand, and echo answered fraud. But one scornful look from Casey in the audience was odd. They saw his face grow stern and cold. They saw his muscles strain. And they knew Casey wouldn't let that ball go by again. The sneer is gone from Casey's lips. His teeth are clenched in hate. He pounds with cruel violence, his bat upon the plate. And now the pitcher holds the ball, and now he lets it go, and now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. Oh, somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light, and somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Mudsville. Mighty Casey has struck Ouch.
Is that the
That's
end
a
of the
cute
poem?
story.
Is that
That's
when
the end of the poem.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
What a remarkable tale of hubris.
It is. It is. He thought he was too good for the first two balls, and he thought he would hit the last one.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was. It was hubris. He lost. Yeah, and he could have. They could have had a grand slam, but he had to be a jerk.
I guess he had also a showman, but yeah, he had so much. Yeah, there are interpretations that can be read into that. I think they even do it on an episode of Northern Exposure. But yeah, that is a tale of hubris and a lack of enthusiasm, self-importance. I do not like the mighty Casey. I'm glad he struck out.
He could have actually hit it, and
yeah, if he wasn't such a dick.
Yeah. He probably did this before, and it probably worked before, but this time it didn't. Probably. About to lose power while they change the bloody meter. Oh no!
I hope that goes well.
Yeah, I hope the power comes back on soon. Looking up Casey at the Bat videos, the first one that comes up is James Earl Jones reading the poem. Oh, that's much nicer. Listen to him. You can listen to the first half of the poem. I didn't read it. You can, definitely listen to him do that. But right now, I think we're ready for the next episode.
I just have to excuse myself for a moment. I have to go with the water closet briefly.
All right.
I promise I'll be back, and I won't be that late.
I believe you. And so that's the poem. And that's the episode. Let's see if I had anything else here to add to this story. I think that was it. I think we are really ready for the next one. Alan Dexter, Don O'Kelly, Jonathan Hull, Rusty Lane. Yeah, I don't know. Alan Dexter. Meryl Pyle. A World of His Own is the next episode. And this one is the awesome one. I really love this one. Hey, Swift -1 is here. Matt G, hello. He brought some tomatoes. I like tomatoes, especially cherry tomatoes. And so, A World of His Own first aired on July 1st, 1960. It was directed by Ralph Nelson. Oh, you know what? There's one thing I didn't mention about the last episode. Gosh darn it. What's going on with my slide? How did I do that? Let me reopen the slides because it stopped being full screen for whatever reason. That was weird. Let's find those. And continue where I left off. There we are. I forgot to mention the two directors was because in the reshoots they couldn't get the original director. That's all I need to say about the last one. Anyway, we're ready for this one. Did I play all the clips for the last one? Let's see. Yeah, I did.
What happened?
We're ready for. We're just ready for a world of his own.
Oh, delightful.
Canadian Spider-Man says I planted a golden cherry tomato and a red cherry tomato plant in the garden yesterday. Tried to find a salami bush.
I don't even know if that's a real thing, but it sounds funny.
No, but it reminds me of Robinson Crusoe Goes to Mars or on Mars because they had those sausage plants that you don't want to eat when they're cooked, or don't eat them when they're raw? Don't eat them when they're cooked. I forget.
That was so long ago. on a planet far, far away. Hey, Maggie.
Yeah, Matchy's here. So trivia for this episode is that Rod Serling was writing teleplays for anthologies like the Kraft Television Theater, and he used 2 typewriters. He was a one-handed punching typist and hard on machines. The typewriters had a habit of breaking down, and he found them unable to keep up with his creative torrents. Rod, that's because you didn't know how to properly type. With one hand? What's wrong with you? So in late 1955...
I have an idea, but I don't want to say it out loud.
Oh, he's smoking. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. He was smoking. That's what I was thinking.
So in late 1955, he substituted the typewriters for a dictating machine. He would use the typewriter to type letters and briefs at times, but for the most part, he used the dictaphone. And he dictated his Twilight Zone scripts into the same type of machine seen and used by Keenan Wynn in this episode. Serling, however, did not have a hand in scripting this episode. It was written by Richard Matheson, and this is from The Twilight Zone: Unlocking the Door to a Television Classic. That's good stuff. And Keenan Wynn plays Gregory West in the episode, the fictional author. Oh, who arrived? Looks... Maddie's daddy arrived. Hi, Jill in chat. I'm sorry that I can seldom join in, but I'm almost always at work when you stream during the day. I hope you have a great stream. It means a lot to me that you just drop in to say hi, even though you can't stay. I know I stream at a time that's not very convenient for a lot of people. So I appreciate the effort you go through to, say hello. And I promise I'll have a late night stream one of these days, which might be too late for you. So I can't win. And I see that. I didn't know a tuber salami. What is Spidey talking about salami for? What is happening? I think Spidey just wants salami.
Okay. Booger says salami is a root meat. It grows underground. Of course.
What about a pepperoni shrubbery? Okay, so this is preschool stuff. It reminds me of that poem where you sneeze and the meatball falls on the ground and it grows into a meatball tree. I forget how the song goes. It's a song. On top of spaghetti. On top of spaghetti.
Oh, on top of spaghetti, all covered with cheese. Yes.
And somebody sneezed. It rolled off the table and onto the floor. Yep.
Rolled over my sister. There was so much gore.
So we have the opening narration here for the A World of His Own. We have the home of Mr. Gregory West, one of America's most noted playwrights. The office of Mr. Gregory West. Mr. Gregory West? Oh, wait, where is he? I'm doing it too fast. There's Mr. Gregory West. Shy, quiet, and at the moment very happy. Mary, warm, affectionate. And they're overly sweet, saccharine in their appreciation.
Are you editorializing the opening narration?
Yes, I am. I just did.
Okay, just checking.
But they are. We see Mr. Gregory West with the woman who she's very sweet, she's supportive, and you think that they have this lovely relationship. There's only one problem with this arrangement that Mr. Gregory West has with Mary. Is he related to Adam West? I don't know. That's a good question. The problem is Victoria. Victoria's in the window. That's his wife. Oh, wait. The end of the opening narration is, and the final ingredient, Mrs. Gregory West. And she totally sees them together. So, back was relatively painless, says Sigvaldson. Oh, good.
Excellent.
Oh, good. I'm glad everything came back to normal. Scotty knows alternate lyrics to the Meatball song that I'm interested in learning.
Yeah. Just riffing. Just riffing.
Well, I like Scratch Garden's rendition of On Top of Spaghetti. It's a children's channel, but it's cute.
Cool.
No, okay, I think we have to find out if Gregory West is related to Adam West. Because now that's all I can think about.
Gregory West is a fictional character. So
Oh, that's right. So that's not going to happen.
Adam West is a real human.
Yeah, that's true. Keenan Wynn is not, his last name's not West.
No. Although Keenan Wynn is one of those, hey, it's that guy who I adore. And so it was a splinter in my mind when I saw Keenan Wynn, and I was like, I know this guy. And then I looked up the cast for this episode, and I was like, oh, right, Keenan Wynn. How can I be so dim? But he was Bat Guano in Dr. Strangelove. So he's worked with Kubrick, which is incredible. He was also in The Nutty Professor and The Shaggy Dog. He was in Once Upon a Time in the West, uncredited. But he's been in so many things, and it is always a delight. And the thing about this episode is that Keenan Wynn usually plays sort of a heavy, a straight, just deadpan, not always mean, but he's matter of fact in his performances. And to see him play sort of a romantic is in the romantic sense, lovey-dovey. I thought this was great. Again, it's another, and also back to back, like Keenan Wynn or Jack Warden. I don't know who wins in that fight because I like them both.
Oh, I think Keenan, well, I don't know. Yeah, I'd seen him in this role. I didn't see him as a heavy in the other roles that he's in.
All right, but you're going to have to answer to the Coca-Cola company in Doctor Strange.
Oh, okay. I will.
I love this sort of idea of the...
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Yes. That wasn't him, but yes, that is the film. But I love this idea of the 1950s and the 1960s of being your domestic wife would bring you slippers and a martini. And I also find that very entertaining because it's like vodka is a libation that you enjoy at the time, but then it hits you all at once and you just become drunk as a skunk after your third martini and you pass out. And it's like, so what is in it for the wife to just ply your husband with vodka and then wait for him to fall asleep? I guess maybe you're on amphetamines because you're busy vacuuming all day. It is the 50s and the 60s after all. I was going to dust. So there's a lot of stuff going on in domestic bliss when it comes to the 50s and 60s. And I think that this is actually somewhat of a commentary on, I want a strong woman, a regal woman, a woman who could have anybody who she wants in the world when it comes to Victoria. I'm jumping ahead. I apologize. And then he's like, you know what? No, I don't want that. I want someone who makes me martinis and brings me my
I could tell you why you're jumping ahead, Scotty, is because this is a kind of maybe a dream scenario for a man. He could just describe his perfect woman and she just appears, and he can have two women. Why not? One over here and one over there. Like if he actually likes them. And it's kind of like a holodeck, except Except, how real are these people if they're coming manifesting into existence in flesh and blood? How much are you actually dealing with real life here?
Which is the one thing that I won't jump ahead to until we get there.
Yes. But you're making me want to jump ahead. Anyway.
No, but
Anyway,
see,
you did it.
I did. But I
Greg,
like yes.
So we're not supposed to know all that stuff yet.
Yeah.
So they see, all we're supposed to know is that it looks like he's having an affair with the mistress, with his wife coming home early, catching them. And Greg tells Mary he has to do what he's going to do next, which is a thing that Mary doesn't like that Greg is going to do. And Mary says that Greg is afraid, and he does the thing that Mary doesn't want him to do. And that's when I realized that Mary is a figment of Greg's imagination. So it's really not that big of a reveal. So it makes sense.
Well, and the episode title sort of gives everything away.
It kind of does. It throws it in your mind and it makes you think of it. A world of his own. So this is the world that he creates. His creations come to life. And so the other hint that this is true is that his wife isn't so angry. Because she thinks she's just going to find them in the most compromising position possible, but she can't find her at all. She's shocked at this and starts doing a deep investigation of everything. And she knows something's going on with the scissors. She's like, what do you have those scissors for? But she can't figure out what's going on. The scissors are very important with how he gets rid of Mary.
Well, and
so it's a bit of a mystery that's fun to watch. It's really well structured. It makes me curious. I'm like, okay, what are you doing with those scissors, dude?
Yeah, but it takes me a while to figure out. Like, I thought that Greg was handling a typewriter for the longest time because they say he's a playwright.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then he starts fiddling with it. And I was like, I don't think you know what a typewriter is, sir. And then you find out later it's a reel-to-reel recorder.
Yes. And the scissors finally make sense because reel-to-reel recorder, you can cut the tape. And that's how you cut out the descriptions of the characters.
However, I was also thinking, because I don't know how, if you were a playwright and you wanted to edit your work that you had typed, and you're like, oh no, I like that better after what I had written, it does kind of make sense that you would use scissors to cut and then tape in a different order and then retype kind of thing. So I was like, okay, he's a playwright, he's a writer. This is how they used to do it before there was backspace or whiteout.
Yes. Yeah. Actual cut. Do they use tape or glue? I don't know.
Like sellotape.
Sellotape. Okay.
It was my thought, but obviously, again, this is all speculation on something that never happens. So completely irrelevant.
Well, we see it on WKRP where Bailey is able to edit, and it's real editing. She's cutting things and putting them back together physically. So it's a thing. The characters Virginia West and Gregory West were an inside joke. The secretary for producer Buck Houghton was named Virginia Gregory. So that's where those names came from. And he seems to take delight in her confusion as she's inspecting everything. And Victoria's looking around. She thinks maybe there's a secret door. And I'm starting to feel bad for Victoria. He knows what he's doing to her, and he knows what he's just done to Mary, but he's not saying anything. And she just comes out with it that she saw him with a lady, and she describes her like, it's kind of insultingly, but it's fair enough. She thinks he just cheated. So she has a mass of blonde hair, and she wore one of those frumpy little blouses with the tacky little brooch at the bosom, and one of those dreadful peasant skirts. But the funny thing
Bosom?
was,
What's
bosom.
a bosom? There we go.
Oh, bosom. I don't use the word bosom like you do.
Oh, I use
But the
bosoms
funny
all the
thing,
time.
I know. It's one of your
Never mind.
words.
That was rude.
But
We're
the
going to get
funny
another
thing,
comment.
but no, not for that. No,
Okay.
you were all over the place on Friday. The funny
that's
thing
fair.
was that she handed you a drink. And she sits on his lap while she says this. And then she says the girl was drab and ugly, which is, yeah, that's good. I love that in everything she says that seems bad. It's against the girl, not against him. She loves him. And
But never
Gregory
hurt.
said,
Would never show weakness.
that's right. Yeah, she doesn't ever, she's never vulnerable. You're right.
Which is ultimately what Greg is upset about.
Yes. But this tricks him. He says, "Oh, she's not so drab," and she caught him lying. And so she's finally confronting him on why he keeps pushing her away, telling her she needs to leave so that he can work alone. And I'm still thinking she's real, and so I'm like, what? I'm feeling bad for her at this point because he's being so dishonest. And she says,
"Oh, sorry.
Go ahead."
I was going to say, once, based on the title of the episode, and then also when, he's got one of those Chinese room dividers that goes behind his desk. And when Victoria goes behind that, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, she's totally a figment.
Yes. I think I have in my notes when I figure it out. I didn't figure it out then.
Before the episode started, I'm sure. You're much more clever than I.
No, that's not true. No, I have in my notes when I figured it out, and it's not. I haven't got to it yet.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to believe she was real, because it feels a little bit like she is, especially since she came home, unexpectedly. If she was just a figment, he'd have a little more control. Although he does say that he starts to lose control of his characters. So, but that hasn't happened yet. That he hasn't said that part yet.
Which is, yeah, but it's always, and no, he hasn't said it yet. But I do really enjoy hearing writers write about writing. And
yes,
that is something that writers do expound on. They're like, I tried to get such and such a character to do a thing. And then I realized that they couldn't do that thing. Like the character itself or themselves wouldn't do what I wanted them to do because it would completely destroy the story. And the story goes off in a different direction. I had no choice. What I had already created told me where that character was going to go. And I love this sort of turn in the way things are going. And Greg never really loses control of his creations until the end, but we'll get there.
I've heard a lot of authors say that they don't have control over their characters. Also, that the characters tell them what they should be doing. So this is definitely something that's playing off of what authors really experience. So Victoria says, "Didn't think I suspected the real reason why you're always sending me out of the house, did you? I must be alone to work, you said."
I must be alone to work, you said. The great and famous playwright. The great and famous philanderer.
Now, Victoria,
It's fun. It's fun to have a kind of argument like this. And I like that they didn't make her evil or anything. She's just justifiably upset.
Well, and also, like, there is an affection in this performance from Keenan Wynn as well. And he's like, I'm going to tell you the truth. Finally, the jig is up. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to be mad. Here's what's going on.
Yeah, he tries to explain himself by describing a play he created called Fury in the Night. He wants her to recall
Which
the
she
character named
hates.
Philip Wainwright. Well, of course she doesn't like his writing. The writing keeps him away from her, and so they
True.
don't actually get as much time together. He keeps pushing her away. I feel a lot of compassion for this poor Victoria person that he's decided is his main wife here. But however, she only wants to know the name of the girl that he was with. So he tells her it was Mary.
How
And
common.
but I don't see that as bad because of course she's going to insult whomever she just saw him with.
Mhm.
And I know they're trying to make Victoria snooty, like to make me not like her, but it doesn't work. I still like her because her fury is well earned.
Well, not only that, her forcefulness of spirit is exactly what Greg wanted. It's a Betty and Veronica
Right.
situation. This is Archie with a mustache and a bad hairline. Sorry, Keenan.
Yeah. And so what so I just imagine that she's probably good to him other times, and this is just because of the drama of the situation. She doesn't and then Gregory says, "You know how sometimes I've told you that fictional characters come alive so vividly they make decisions of their own? A playwright may have worked out some kind of move for them, but they refuse to do it. They will not accept anybody's. They become strong, so strong that sometimes they take over the whole story. I hardly see that this has anything um okay, so and then he says to please bear with me. She says, I've borne with you for years. And he says, Philip Wainwright was the first one of my play characters to ever behave like that. No matter what I planned for him, he balked, he refused. He wouldn't accept any of my decisions. He became alive with a will of his own.
Alive, real flesh and blood man. And I created him.
And he's kept this secret from his wife for how long? It doesn't say. And he's smitten with his own work. Okay, so this is from I got something here from the companion, Twilight Zone companion. The final episode of the first season, both in order and production, was A World of His Own. Let's see, where is it? Why
Is
did
this
I put
it?
this down?
Is this the season finale?
This is it. This is the season finale. I opened the show by saying this is the end of season 1. That's right.
No.
Actually, Matheson recalls, actually, the first outline I submitted was a serious one in which it became very nightmarish to him when his characters came to life. I guess it was a little melodramatic for them, so they suggested that I try to lighten it up. And I redid it as a comedy, which I think worked out well.
Yes.
And the casting couldn't have been better. Keenan Wynn as the playwright, Phyllis Kirk as his volatile wife, and Mary LaRoche as his long-suffering mistress. From start to finish, the episode is wonderfully funny and sophisticated. Director Ralph Nelson, from Lilies of the Field, Charlie, and Requiem for a Heavyweight, viewed his task, and rightly so, as akin to keeping one of those glass bubbles on top of a fountain. I have no idea what that means.
Nor do I.
So at this point, Victoria's ready to call a psychiatrist. And as she's doing that, I'm going to see what's going on in the chat because I haven't looked at it in a minute. The robot was Chinese, so no wonder it went nuts. What?
Huh?
Canadian Spider-Man? What Chinese robot are you talking about? No one was hurt since it was restrained and harnessed. Oh, Canadian Spider-Man, are you talking about the story somebody was mentioning before about a robot that went against its creator? Oh, that must be what he's talking about. Okay. Wow, Spidey knows about it. I'm glad I saw that. That's an interesting story.
I'm not familiar. I'll have to look up Chinese robot.
Yeah, right? Chinese robot attacks creator.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, so I read that one. Okay. I'm reading that.
You're not going to
That's
read
funny.
it? All right.
Okay, do you want to read it? You can read it if you like it.
I met a Nigerian prince online who promised me some very special seeds that belong to a tree that instead of leaves, it sprawls 50-pound bills. I'm assuming that's pounds. I don't know what it is. I think I hit the jackpot, folks. It's mine, I tell you. Mine. I'm richer than... Yeah.
It looks like euros. Oh, I thought you were Daffy Duck.
I was doing a little Daffy, yeah. That does look like euros. I don't know. What am I? Currency converter.
So Booger works rotating shifts and he catches about half the daytime streams. Oh, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here for at least half.
Yeah, man. We already did that.
I read that. Yeah,
Sorry,
we did. But there were some that I missed. But yes, he wants to talk about the elephant in the room. We can't talk about the elephant in the room. There's no elephant in the room.
Yet.
I don't have an elephant.
A giant red-eyed elephant is standing in my hallway and will not let her pass.
Oh, Gregory, don't be ridiculous.
I like it, so I'm going to play it multiple times.
That's great. And the thing is, and this is going to be a little just for the squeamish. So obviously the studio had access to an elephant. Good for them.
They have that elephant money.
They had elephant money. Yes. But one thing that always troubled me about ivory harvesting is that apparently if you want more ivory, you're supposed to take off the face of the elephant, and then you can get really into the roots of the tusks. However, if you look at that elephant, which we will again, they just sort of snip the front. And I think that that's far more humane, although, you know, it's probably not fun for the elephant to have their tusks ripped or sawn off. But it's better than taking off their face and, you know, killing them to get the tusks. So
I'm glad you said that because I was kind of upset that they ripped off his tusks because those are essentially the elephant's teeth. And that's pretty fucked. But at least they didn't rip off his face. So
yeah, well, that's the thing. I found out about that. That was the thing that it was like, oh yeah, no, ivory goes into piano keys and things like that. And I remember talking to a high school teacher about it, and they were like, you know how they get that ivory? And this was all back in the day when people didn't like ivory. I'm so glad that we can replicate it now. But like it was just like, no, if you are an elephant poacher, you kill the elephant and then graphically remove the front half of their head to get as much of the ivory as possible, which is a terrifying story. And I do believe in, you know, preservation of animals, except for pandas. Fuck pandas. Sorry about the swear.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Scotty has an irrational hatred of pandas.
That's true. Yes.
But no, I hate poaching and it's ridiculous and it makes no sense.
It's true.
I wish people didn't do it.
Yeah. Except for, never mind.
Except for so not knowing she's in the Twilight Zone, Victoria tries to phone a psychiatrist. So I can forgive her for that too. She doesn't know she's in the Twilight Zone. And
well, at this point, I didn't think that she was fake.
Yeah, I didn't think she was fake yet either. Okay, so Greek Letters Larson says, don't know much about elephants, Canadian Spider-Man, but when it comes to speed comparisons between European and African pigeons, I'm a certified expert. Really? You know a lot about pigeons? That's kind of cool.
I thought it was swallows. African and European swallows. What is the average airspeed?
Wait a minute. African elephants are bigger than Indian elephants, Spidey. And it's the other way around, definitely.
I do not know.
Yes, I do. I know. African
Okay.
elephants are larger than Indian elephants.
Okay.
They're my favorite land animals. So if I'm wrong, I'll give up my favorite land animal card. No fighting in the war room. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Didn't even drink yesterday, said Canadian Spider-Man. Now I need vodka, Scotty.
There you go. Take a day off, have a day on. It's the healthy way to go. Just ask the guy who was supposed to be in the Mighty Casey.
So Burger says, kind of like that kid Simon and his magic chalkboard. The things he drew came true also. Yeah, exactly.
I like to do drawings.
Booger 414 says, my father used a dictaphone reader for his answering machine.
You know what? I've tried to use a dictaphone or like even just a voice recorder, and I end up just with hours and hours and hours of minutes and minutes and minutes of voice recording, and it's just like I'm never gonna listen to this. I just like talking to the box, which is what brought me to YouTube, really.
Really? Well, now we know the origins of Scotty R37.
Yeah, Sony digital recorders, but they never talked back.
You had to use your imagination back then.
Like Simon, because he likes to do recordings.
Yeah. So, Booger says Bailey Quarters was able to do anything she wanted.
I did it!
Yay for Bailey.
Yeah. And like the detective in Dixon Hill, wondering what happened to him when the holodeck shut off. Yeah.
Well, we get to the terrifying moment later on.
I believe there was an 80s Twilight Zone where a writer was terrorized by his creations, perhaps based on the original concept for this episode. That sounds about right, Gavin. I believe you. I wish I had elephant money. Well, when I thought of that line while I was writing these notes, I thought, well, I was gonna add if I had the chance. Lost in Space sometimes didn't even have horse money, and I was hoping Jedi Master was here because he would really appreciate that. Because sometimes they would just have a big plastic horse or some big, not plastic, but I don't know, made of artificial fake horse.
A pantomime horse where like one actor had to be the front and the other actor had to be the back. Kind of like Secretariat from the Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson. Oh, yeah.
Maybe. But I also just remember a plain horse that just looked like a giant toy.
That makes sense.
I think they used to trim the tusks of captive elephants for human safety.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
that's
okay,
true
that makes
too.
sense.
What did I saw a video on the internet because I've been watching weird stuff on YouTube lately. But it was an elephant who lifted up like a tour bus on safari with its tusks and then dropped it again and basically backed off and said, "Stay off my lawn."
Usually you listen to a elephant.
Yeah. Well, and they never forget from what I understand.
Right. This is true. Pandas, but they aren't even green.
I like green things because it's not easy being green, but being a panda, super easy, lazy even.
How do you feel about poaching eggs? It says Entropy Manor. That's very clever. Good pun there. I guess I'm okay with poaching eggs.
Well, I used to work in a breakfast restaurant, and anyone who wanted their eggs poached, I thought were too fancy for their own good. So I disagree with poaching eggs, even though I had to do it under duress for money.
Yeah. Well, you would do it again, too, if somebody offered you money.
Oh, sure. I wouldn't feel good about it, and I would compromise my morals, but...
Still trying to pass the damn bridge, Scotty? The bridge keeper keeps finding new and silly sets of questions to stop me.
Yes, thank you so much. I am a troll.
Oh, you're a troll. What? I didn't know this.
Well, troll bridge, right? I live under a bridge. I
Hmm.
don't know.
Back before Mike Myers was back before Mike Myers was a dick. I didn't know that he ever became a dick. Simon in the tub doing drawings.
But even before that, it was actually an animated show that I remember watching on like TV Ontario. Maybe it was British because it did have British accents, but yeah. And he ripped off that. I'll see if I can find the theme song.
Talking further about WKRP, Canadian Spider-Man says Jennifer got away with everything too. She had no boss, really. That's true. She was also the highest paid, yeah.
Yep. Jennifer Marlowe. And oh wait, before we get to that, thank heavens, Jacob. The worst of the storm is past now. I'm glad that you escaped the throes of the twister.
Hooray! Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so glad. I'm so glad it's gone. Stark of Iron says to Sigvaldison, preaches the fate of mankind ruling the galaxy in one place and the complete eradication of all life in another. Hail.
This sounds like the
Yeah.
worst Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade that I've ever heard of. Keep your button unpressed. Thank you.
Mhm. Yes. Canadian Spider-Man says Sudan, Nepal, and Tanzania have elephants on their money. Looks
Really?
cool.
Now that is kind of cool. But that's kind of, well, I guess we have beavers on our nickels in Canada.
I think Simon was shown as part of Captain Kangaroo, but I may be incorrectly remembering it.
I think you're right.
Okay. So let's get back to Victoria trying to commit her husband.
Yes.
And she also gets him to admit he made love to his characters. But she doesn't realize that one of them is her. He says if he describes the character well enough into his recorder, the character comes to life. And he then tries to explain how Mary escaped. It wasn't the windows or a secret door. He finally pulls out the scissors from before. And he snips off.
See, there are those
tape.
Keenan Wynn crazy eyes.
Yeah, she'd be a good Klingon.
The glory.
He snips off the part of the tape in which she was described, and he disposes of it in the fireplace. Oh wait,
No, he's explaining it now. We don't see a demonstration until shortly.
Oh yeah. He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't demonstrate until later. Yeah, so she hasn't shown up yet. So just describing it doesn't help her. She doesn't believe it. She's like, "Okay, you're crazy. I'm still gonna leave."
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yes. And so he decides to create Mary. He describes her while doing this. Victoria is sneaking in the pocket for his key. It's very good. She's very good at this. And so he describes her.
The description is so, like, the way he performs it and the way he describes it, it's so longingly. It's nice. It's pleasant. It feels.
Would you like to read it?
No, I don't. Well, I don't know. Do you? I can.
Okay, I'll read it. You sound hesitant.
No, I'll do it. I'll do it well.
Okay. Doesn't sound like you want to, but okay, let's do it.
Well, I'm afraid because she's going to have to be destroyed.
Oh, that's why. She doesn't like being destroyed.
Exactly. Her name is Mary. She's 30 years old, 5 feet 6 inches tall, nicely built, blonde hair, fair complexion, a simple, unassuming female, but with that quality of inner loveliness that brings real beauty to a woman. A tender, gentle woman, an understanding woman. She's dressed in a soft blouse, old-fashioned brooch, full skirt. Her hair is attractively arranged. She's coming up to the front walk. She's crossing the porch, opening the front door. She's closing it. She's walking across the hall.
And so she walks in before Victoria can leave, and they're both shocked to see each other. Mary tries to comfort Victoria because Mary is so understanding and easier to talk to. She knows all about this. It's only Victoria that's learning this for the first time. And
I sense a menage.
Yeah, Victoria still doesn't want to believe him, though. Because
No, I'm
Mary
saying what
didn't-
Greg could actually, dictate a little bit of bow, chicka, bow, wow, wow.
He could try, but the characters would have to agree to it. His
Oh, that's
characters
true.
have a
'Cause the
mind of their own.
That is also true. That is true. And Gregory is not a perv.
Yeah, they would have to agree. But they're shocked to see each other, and Mary tries to comfort her. Naturally, though, Victoria doesn't believe him. Mary didn't just appear; she had to walk through the house, so she thinks that it's probably just a trick, and she really is just a mistress, and this whole story was just a fiendish plot.
I got to use that in my real life someday. This is a fiendish plot.
So Greg is currently doing a very good job at disappointing two women. So he decides to prove that she's.
Hey, I do this all the time.
I know. That's how it came.
It's why
to
you said
me.
it. Yes.
He decides to prove that she is real, but that he can destroy her. So he does exactly what he described earlier by snipping off the tape from the dictaphone and tossing it in the fire. But before he does that, Mary begs, "Never bring me back again." This is too much for her. She doesn't like being toyed with.
Well, not only that, but it has a horrible implication that she remembers each time of her own physical manifestation.
Yes. And how does it feel to be destroyed like that? Like at the end, Victoria says she feels something. This is now a decision. Oh man, allergies. Sorry. This is a decision he has to make. If he throws the tape, he'll never. She doesn't want to see him again. But if he doesn't, I still think she's real at this point. Victoria will throw him in a mental hospital, so he has to make that choice, and he chooses Victoria. Mary disappears.
Well, and I understand that.
Me too.
Like he obviously, well, and we'll see shortly. Hang on a second. I just got to step away for just one moment.
Okay, that's okay. It's because Victoria is basically who he chose to be his wife, so that's why he chose her. And he says he only created Mary because he was lonely, because his wife was too perfect. And so that sounds like a whole other host of issues. If he feels inadequate with her, he should tell her, but I guess maybe telling her really wouldn't change anything. Now that I know, but I only know this because of hindsight. Just as he was going to say the right thing, which is that these circumstances are his fault. He should have been honest about his insecurities with Victoria. But that's too late. I'm wondering if maybe they could have worked this out, but that's not a thing that is actually explored in this episode. Even with Victoria just saw Mary disappear right before her eyes, and she still cannot believe Gregory. So she says once again that she's going to put him in an insane asylum or a mental hospital and get a divorce so she can have the house and he can go be in the loony bin. So that's when we get the elephant. Greek letters Larson. Now is the correct moment to play the elephant. So I should have played the elephant here.
A giant red-eyed elephant is standing in my hallway and will not let her pass.
Oh, Gregory, don't be ridiculous.
Oh, and this is perfect because we've got something straight from the Twilight Zone companion. A World of His Own employed one of the largest props used in any episode of the series. For one key scene, the playwright had to summon up an elephant in his hallway to block his wife from leaving the house. Rear projection or stock footage of an elephant just wouldn't be convincing. A real elephant had to be brought onto the set. Buck Houghton remembers this episode with amusement. I came around the stage corner, and there was the elephant. And the elephant man was having him go on his nose, and then on his back legs, and on his nose, and then on his back legs, and then on his nose. I stood there, wondering what this guy was beating. Well, why this guy was beating this poor elephant to death for. Finally, he didn't give the next order. The elephant shit a bale of hay, and he says, now he's good for 2 hours. So I went in and I told Nelson, you've got 2 hours to use the elephant or we're in trouble.
We're in trouble?
Well, I'm not sure I understand this story.
Tell me why.
The elephant was having a go at him on his nose and then on his back legs. Was this like one of those things where you see a shadow of something and you don't know what it is and you assume I don't know. It seems like Buck Houghton thought that the elephant man was beating the elephant or something, but he wasn't. He was feeding him hay. And then the elephant shit out a bale of hay. I might be misunderstanding this story. I don't like the way it's written.
I didn't hear the story, so I don't really want to.
Well, I retold it better than the way it's written here. I'm not going to tell it again.
Yeah, don't.
But anyway, the point is, the elephant had a bunch of hay, and so you got to get your shots in under 2 hours, or else you're going to have a hay-sized poop in the middle of your set. So.
Well, no one wants that.
No, and they did get a wonderful sound trumpet from the elephant. Yeah. It's beautiful. I want to play it again.
A giant red-eyed elephant is standing in my hallway and will not let her pass.
Oh, Gregory, don't be ridiculous.
And I would think now she has to believe him. I was so sure that she believed him at this point. And she opens the door to prove the elephant is gone. And so I thought that this was going to be the moment of revelation for Victoria, that she would say, okay, it's not possible. I'm not playing Jumanji. How is an elephant standing here? And so that should have been it. But it wasn't. She still is now she's in denial.
Yes.
And so this is the end, because obviously Gregory loves Victoria, but he can't go to a mental hospital. That's not good. He won't be able to write his stories. He won't be able to live or be free. So he opens the hidden book safe in a last-ditch effort to talk sense to Victoria. She didn't know about this safe. And this is where I know that she's,
She's what?
she's not real. Well, before he opens the safe, I knew it, but yeah, the second I saw he had a hidden book safe, that's when I knew.
Yes.
Wait, when did I know? Let me find out. I think I knew before.
I was worried about this, and I didn't think this was going to work, but that's going to lead into my disappointment with the conclusion.
Okay. Oh yeah, I did know early. Okay, so when he disposes of Mary, that's when I knew that Victoria was a figment.
Mm.
Even though she still kind of seemed real to me, but that's when I suspected it. So then we have the book safe, and she says, "Gregory, you're not seriously trying to make me believe." Gregory says, "I'm telling you, Victoria, look at yourself. Regal, beautiful. You could have any man in the world that you wanted. Haven't you ever wondered how you happened to get stuck with me? Well, I'm telling you, you're an impeccable, flawless, you're just the sort of wife that I always used to think I wanted more than anything else in the world." And Victoria still thinks this is a trick. And it turns out that this is the very first time that Victoria has come back out of her own free will for the first time ever. And this is why he was shocked to see her when he was with Mary earlier.
What does he say exactly when you defied my will?
Defied my will. Oh yeah, I do have the transcripts here somewhere. Let's see. This is
Or you went against my will. And I was like, oh man, you're a jerk.
Not because of Mary, but because you came back against my will for the first time.
Against my will, right. I was like,
Yeah,
Greg.
I made you too strong. I forgot to add a little human frailty. And so he's about to put everything back in the safe. He was trying, I mean, if this wasn't proof enough, he's just like, okay, now you know that you're one of my creations, so I'm gonna put it back in the safe and we can continue life. But I didn't know there was such a thing as too strong-willed, but I guess if you can't believe in magic when a giant elephant is in your living room, I suppose I can understand it.
Well, but also I think that this is a representation of female characters at the time, the beautiful wife, like there's something about that servitude where it's like, all right, you know too much. Now, if you'll continue, everything will be fine. Just be my wife. No worries. And he goes to put it back. He goes to keeping his creative slave. And luckily, Victoria knows better. This is where my interpretation of the episode differs from the actual episode.
He tries to put her back in the safe, but
it's better to die on your feet than live on your knees, is what Vicky says.
He's shocked. She throws herself into the fire, like not herself, but her tape, tape.
Yeah.
With her description. So if your description is destroyed, you're destroyed. So it's kind of like, I hate to bring up the thing you don't care about, but the Lord of the Rings, you destroy the ring, which contains your soul, you will be destroyed. And this is essentially, I suppose, I don't know if these creations have souls, but if they do, they're in this tape.
And her act of defiance surprises even herself and says, oh, it was true. I feel ever so strange. Gregory,
you don't mean that you were telling me the truth. You were right.
Bye.
And
So anyway,
he's
Vicky's
actually
gone.
he does a very good job of looking shocked and unhappy. Like he didn't want her to lose her. He
No.
just wanted her to understand, and she could not. And from my understanding, Mary doesn't want anything to do with him either, but apparently that's not true. Like, I guess you put a ring on it and Mary changes her mind.
Well, but also it's a change of character. And also she wasn't Mary, Mary 6 or whatever she was, hadn't confronted Victoria and been privy to the entire conversation as to what was happening. Mary is brought back into Greg's life just to prove to Victoria that Mary can be destroyed. And Mary gets it, but she's kind of a shrinking violet. And she's like, if this is what you're doing, I do not want to be brought back. Maybe it's a case of the audience knows more than Mary, and Mary is reacting to what the audience knows. But that entire thing is have a heart, show some empathy. Don't create and destroy what you want on a whim because you're playing God and you're not a very nice God at that.
I think that goes against the idea that we had earlier that she remembers every time that she gets destroyed. So if she remembered every time, that she would know this happened still.
But maybe it is. Maybe I was overlooking the conversation that Victoria and Mary had. I can misread things from time to time. I'm sure you're.
But it's unclear. It's unclear about the memory transfer of these creations when they're created and destroyed and created and destroyed. When they come back, are they still the same, or is that a just a copy?
I don't know. I wish I did, for Mary's sake. So
at first, he does try to bring back Victoria, but he never wrote Victoria down.
That's not it at all.
I know maybe he could have, but her tape was very long. I think he could have tried to bring her back, but we don't even get to see him try because then he says, there is a line that says, let's leave well enough alone. So it's kind of, it feels like he doesn't remember, but also he doesn't want to go back to her after she's removed herself.
Well, okay, she removed herself.
Yes.
She was incredulous as to the preposterousness of this creation. It was something.
That's right. She didn't know she was gonna disappear. But
no.
She was told she would. She wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, but she's a practical woman, a strong woman who only believes in what what is tangibly acceptable. And
except that that's not true because tangibly she saw a freaking elephant roar and trumpet in her living room and she still didn't believe it. So that was hard evidence that should have swayed her. Like there's a difference between being strong and being, too hard-headed to be able to change.
So Victoria closes the doors, turns around and says, "Excuse me, what does God need with an elephant?"
That would be good.
It would be funny.
But I guess we don't have to worry about Victoria anymore because Gregory isn't.
Because, we killed her. Way to go, Greg.
Now it's time to bring back Mary. And now, but this time he changes the description slightly that he's married to Mary.
Mary, will you marry me, please?
And here's the best part of the episode. Here we get to see Rod Serling at the end, and not just for promos, because Rod Serling's cameo at the end of the episode marks his first on-screen appearance on the show, except for those promos. So he was on the promos, which
now
I never
part
showed.
Of the story.
Yeah, I never showed the promos because I thought it'd be more fun to read them myself. But now we finally get to see him in the story.
And smoking, I might add.
Yes. So he only showed up at the very beginning of the first season and at the very end here. And smoking. And so
Brought to you
then this
by
is
Chesterfield Cigarettes.
one of only 3 times he shows up at the end of the story. So we'll see what those are later, the other 2.
Yeah.
And so
And
I've
then,
got the
yeah, you go.
Then okay, yeah, no, I do go. Serling says, "We hope you enjoyed tonight's romantic story on the Twilight Zone."
At the same time, we want you to realize that it was, of course, purely fictional. In real life, such ridiculous nonsense could never...
Rod.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't say such things as nonsense and ridiculous.
Well, that's the way it goes.
And I hate that.
I think it's cute and I think it's funny. It's a fictional part of the story and I love it because you hate it though.
Here's my rewrite. Because again, as we've discussed throughout the season, is that there is somewhat a comeuppance that occurs in the Twilight Zone. And what I wanted was he pulls out the Rod Serling envelope, he throws it into the fire, and Rod Serling says, again, that's the way it goes. And then Greg disappears. Mary disappears. The set disappears, and he's standing in a sound stage and says something along the lines of, be careful what you wish for in the Twilight Zone, kind of thing. That is something, because I think Gregory deserves to get, F'd in the A for all of the BS that I'm doing so good at not swearing, for all of the things that he just did throughout this episode in creating life and destroying it and toying with emotions and everything. And when he says at the end, I'm the writer, I'm the one in charge, and then he throws away that thing, I wish that Rod Serling was the last man standing saying, it all depends on perspective in the Twilight Zone. That would have been amazing. That's what I was waiting for. And when Greg won, I was like, nah, that's fine. So when I said I
thought
hated
it was funny.
I thought it was funny too. But I think that to close out the season, or just to close out this story, because again, I didn't know that it was the end of the season, but I think it would have been better to do not trifle with the might of God, for you never know when you will be smote in the Twilight Zone. Like Rod Serling just laying down the hammer and saying, you're not in charge, I'm in charge.
Well, we already know that Rod Serling's in charge. This is a fictional story in which Gregory is the author of the Twilight Zone.
With that little twist, that little something at the end, I think would have been really, really cool. Especially, like, it's eerie how much Greg gets away with. And I wanted him to be like, oh, yeah. Even with the pleading, Mary is like, don't bring me back. And it's like, oh, I'm going to bring you back because you're my sex slave. Or my wife's slave, even if they don't talk about the physical manifestations and the moist and tab A, slot B kind of stuff. But it's just like, what? How does Greg get away with it? And that's what I didn't like. I wanted him to get what was coming to him.
He shouldn't be able to get away with that. How do you explain your wife is missing and you suddenly have a new wife and the other one's missing? Like, ostensibly, they go out to dinner and people are going to notice. But yeah, that's right. And Gregory does get away with too much. I agree, but I don't know. It's just fun.
Yeah,
and I think it's fine. I think
it's a little too cute.
Well, no, I think it's great because Gregory is fictionally the creator of the Twilight Zone. Isn't that kind of like how Benny Hill invented Deep Space Nine?
Not Benny Hill. Benny Russell.
Benny Russell.
Benny Hill is a very, very different individual.
Oops, I'm sorry. Benny Russell. Well, you knew what I meant. I got part of
I
the name.
did. Do you know who Benny Hill is?
No.
Yeah, don't look it up.
Okay. But there's a little more that the companion says about this joke. Yeah. Mark Scott Zickrey thinks it's one of the series' finest jokes and a perfect capper to this first season. Was the final gag. For this, Serling makes his first on-camera appearance. And he repeats the dialogue that I already read. And then, of course...
Well, that's the way it goes.
It's an ending that pleases Richard Matheson greatly. I think I was the only one who was ever able to add a sequence where Rod Serling was made to disappear too. It was the last show of the season, so they felt they could do that.
Well, and also it does, like, as much as my protests are, like, it is cute. I would have wished it a different way. But it is also nice to see Rod Serling self-deprecating, or at least self-aware.
And maybe Matheson doesn't, I don't know. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be much discussion of the morality of bringing someone to life and then destroying them. And
which is
even repeatedly.
Which is usually like one of the staples. What are the implications of your power? And have you abused it? Do you get away with it? And in this episode, it's like, yeah, you do. Who cares?
Yeah, Gregory West abused it and gets away with it repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
That poor elephant.
That poor elephant.
And so I've got to read, what's the end closing narration for season 1? Leaving Mr. Gregory West still shy, quiet, very happy, and apparently in complete control of the Twilight Zone. So that's canon.
Yeah. So Gregory Hines is the man in charge.
Yes.
Sorry, Gregory West. That's a different...
Gregory West. Mm-hmm. I knew what you meant. And I want to read the previews for next week, but I don't know where the preview is for
next season.
9 will not return. Yeah, because they don't have... next week on the Twilight Zone, because it's the end of the season. So we don't get the preview for King 9 will not return. So all you get is the name of the episode, because I didn't find the trailer. A trailer may exist for King 9 will not return, but unfortunately, I don't have it. But the second episode of season 2 I do have, which goes like this. Inside this curio shop next week, from amidst this old school rococo and some fusty, moth-eaten antiquary, will emerge a bottle. This one, and from it will step a genie to give Mr. Luther Adler 4 wishes, but he'll discover, as will all of you, that there's an economics to magic, a high cost of wishing. Next week, a most intriguing tale, The Man in the Bottle. So that's season 1.
Yeah, I can't. You know what? I can't get yakety sax off the top of my head. I apologize, but yeah. Yeah. Delightful.
Mhm. And so that's season 1, and there's a little bit in the companion about well, it's titled Taking Account of the First Season, but before we look at that, I want to see what the chat is up to. Oh, hey, when did Brogu get here? Nobody told me Brogu was here. Hello, Brogu.
I was busy. Sorry, Brogu. I was eating
Well,
frogs.
it was just as much my responsibility to also say hello to Devil Flyer Momentum. Hello,
Hey.
hello.
And that
Stop that.
is the VLC pylon.
It is. Well, I can always. Yeah, so I want to do one thing.
Can you play yakety sax?
Yeah, I don't have that.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
But one thing I can do is this. I'm going to go to color. We're out of the Twilight Zone. We made it out.
Oh, right. Sorry, that's a thing that I should do as well.
Well, I don't always remember to do it.
Pardon me.
A cute elephant. Yeah. Yeah, he was a cute elephant. I liked him. I mean, I'm sure he was cuter when he wasn't roaring, but I liked him. I love those animals. They're so intelligent. So, let's see where I was in the chat. I forgot the stars. Finally. Oh, yeah, that must be when I showed the elephant. And Screw Pandas says Canadian Spider-Man. Wow, more Canadian hate against pandas. The CCP uses them against us.
It's true. And also, I wouldn't say it's Canadian hatred against pandas. I would say that pandas are not attracted to each other, which is part of the reason why I find them lazy and useless. Because if they're not willing to procreate, we might as well just dispense with the entire species. And I know exactly the species to assist in that. Penguins.
Is there going to be a coloring book?
There might be a coloring book. It's going to be very easy.
How do you feel about poaching eggs? Okay, so we read that one. And we read that one too. That one also. More vodka? Tony is here. More vodka. Oh.
He's more of a brown liquor man, from what I understand.
Tony's been here. Tony's been here almost the whole time. Like he's been lurking because he pops in now and then. You got to be paying attention. It can't be Brenda's beaver on the nickel. It's too neatly trimmed, says Booger. On the nickel.
I thought it was Winona had a big brown beak.
Do you guys have beavers on your coins?
On our nickels? Yeah, we have beavers on our nickels.
Oh, that's cute.
I mean the aquatic, the amphibious mammal.
Right. Oh, sure.
Oh, sure. It's obviously just, never mind. I'm not even going to finish. It's daytime. I can't say jokes like that in the daytime.
And the jokes are funnier when you don't say them.
Yeah.
Canadian Spider-Man says, we are living a fiendish plot up here, Scotty. Funny? Not funny.
I know, man. I know.
Well, 2 hours between poos. Yes. Sigvaldison understood the story. I think that's all you needed. Well, no, a lot of hay. Hay. 2 times
Let's
a day.
make some hay.
Every time I read that word, I hear it in my grandmother's voice. Says Canadian Spider-Man to DJ Knight. What word? Oh, peanuts? Wait, peanuts.
Yeah, I'm going to sit back here and not say anything for a minute.
They work for peanuts.
The elephant in the room, or outside the window at least.
Sorry I haven't been in the chat more, says Jacob Ironside. With this weather, my internet has been spotty. Ooh.
Yeah, mine.
Well, what about yours?
Well, as long as you're safe, sir.
Yeah, right. The tornado is not around, so that's good. I hope it stays that way. I wouldn't call her a slave. Jeez. Yeah, that's right. They're not because they actually do have a will. I mean, I guess the only way in which Victoria was a slave was that she kept trying to leave the house and he was like, "I'm going to put an elephant in front of you." So I guess that's taking away your free will without you know, like
No,
if he
I'm going to go
actually
with
cared,
slave.
like he could have let her go, but then if he let her go, she would have tried to get him committed into a mental institution and people would listen to her because who would believe the crazy things he was saying?
Defining the parameters of the personality and desires of an individual to ensure that they serve only you, that would make you a master, thusly your creation a slave.
But mentally though, she was capable of leaving him. She was capable of saying, "No, you're crazy. I'm going to leave." And
Yeah, until the end, the elephant
yeah, the elephant puts a
really puts a
nail in it.
damper on the free will to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Also,
didn't let her.
how does Victoria get off saying it's like, how dare you take my house? And it's like, even if we were to accept the reality that Victoria was his wife, I would assume all of his success was based, or all of her success was based on Greg being the nationwide famous playwright. Like, we don't get any sense of Victoria outside of her relationship with Greg.
That's true. And we don't even get a full scope of the actual relationship. We just get this particular moment where he's catching her being catching him being not faithful.
Right.
But I don't go so far as slave either. Sigvaldus and
Right. That's fine.
I think
I accept your apology.
She has free will. He just imprisoned her in that particular moment. But if
Hence
she could
slavery.
out,
Every slave has free will. They just can't enforce it because they are, what's the word?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. You guys can do what you want with it.
She did appear in the window, so she was capable of leaving the house physically.
Sure. But once she came back and discovered the infidelities.
And he can only enforce his whip when he has his dictaphone. I don't know.
No, he could have. He could have absolutely. And the abuse that he imparts upon Mary, if he was truly dedicated to Mary in the first place, he could have just gone over to the book thing, had her live, and said, "Yeah, I'm done." Thrown Victoria into the fire, and she's gone, and Mary goes on.
Yeah, he couldn't make a decision.
Like, it's really kind of terrifying what Greg does.
It is.
No matter how charming he happens to be during the episode, he kills Rod Serling.
He does. Well,
I don't know who you guys on the side of Greg. You guys are weird and mean.
But Rod called his story ridiculous. How rude was that?
Oh, well, then it's justified. You're absolutely right.
Smoking made him look cooler, says Sigvaldus.
True story. In fact, there's a Funko Pop of Rod Serling, and the only thing I want is, and it's not included, is that there's no cigarette in his hand, which is odd because I have Don Draper from Mad Men in Funko Pop form. We can talk about it at a later time, but he's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. It's rad.
I'm sorry I made that mistake.
No, I'm not. That's
Benny
hilarious.
Russell. Benny Russell. Imagine the DS9 episode with Tosk being hunted, but
Oh.
with the Benny Hill theme playing. Oh, I love that episode. We got to review. That's one of my favorite Deep Space Nine episodes. I love it. DS9 needs more yakety yak.
That's all we can play.
Thank you. I was about to mute you, but you stopped it exactly at the right time. And Sigvaldison applauds. Thanks, panel, for a great time here. Oh, I'm glad you had a good time.
Thank you, Sigvaldison.
Thank you for the great chats. Oh no, my terrible error is about to spread all over the internet.
Oh, it is. It is. And I'm here for it. I'm going to have to download that theme so every time someone brings it up, I can play it into the microphone.
And it's perfect. I know that song. I never saw the show. That would be involuntary imprisonment. Yeah,
it's about a portly British man
now.
who chases scantily clad women around, and then he mugs to the camera, and then people apparently in the old world find it funny. But unfortunately, it's like as funny as a whoopee cushion made out of a sheep's stomach. That's my opinion. Tune in next week for our Benny Hill retrospective.
Well, he does create them. So, I don't know.
No, not Benny Russell, Benny Hill.
Oh, okay. We're talking about a different.
No, we're talking. Anyway, forget it. We'll talk about it later.
Oh, we're talking about the same thing. Oh, my goodness.
Ish.
All right. Good show. Yeah, Canadian Spider-Man says. But this is not just any show. This is the end of season. Oh, wait, production. You get to see. This is the end of season 1. And from the Twilight Zone companion, let's see what's interesting here. They ended production in April of 1960, and they produced all the 36 episodes. And if the series ended right there, the Twilight Zone would still have been a television landmark, says Mark.
I agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. John Bram won a Directors Guild Award for
this time enough at last.
Buck Houghton picked up a Producers Guild Award for the Best Produced Series. And then the show won awards from Limelight, Radio and Television Daily, and Motion Picture Daily. And it also won the 18th World Science Fiction Convention voted... This is how to read it. The 18th World Science Fiction Convention voted The Twilight Zone the prestigious Hugo Award. Oh, the Hugo Award. There it is. For Best Dramatic Presentation. The first of 3 such awards the series would win. And from Bantam Books, we got stories from The Twilight Zone, which somebody was talking about. We've had guests on this show who would talk about stories from The Twilight Zone as if like extensions of The Twilight Zone. So that those were very popular back then. Of course, people who loved The Twilight Zone wanted more, and that's how you got it. And it was a paperback collection containing Serling's adaptations of 6 of his Twilight Zone teleplays. And so, of course, and these stories also had some extra stuff. The Mighty Casey, Escape Clause, Walking Distance, The Fever, Where Is Everybody, and The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. So Bantam did that, and that's good. On May 11th, 1960, CBS announced that The Twilight Zone had been renewed for a second season. with General Foods and Colgate Palmolive as sponsors. I guess that's important.
Oh, for sure. No, sponsorship
Yeah.
is incredibly important.
Definitely. If anybody would like to know. So let's see what else this book says. Fame was not without its drawbacks, Serling says. Now people see me on the street and they say, "Why, we thought you were 6'1". We thought you looked like a movie actor." And then they looked up at me and said, "What? Why, God, this kid is 5'5" and he's got a broken nose. I photograph far better than I look, and that's the problem." I wow. There's no problem. I just have to say there's no problem at all with Rod Serling. He's perfect.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that either.
What's wrong with people? Serling's trouble. Serling's children were also having trouble. I think I was about 8 when I realized that Daddy didn't just work. Daddy really did something, Anne recalls. And kids used to say to me, "Are you something out of the Twilight Zone? What can you say?" And Jody says, "I was very annoyed by people coming up and saying, 'You're Rod Serling.' And so I used to ask him, 'Please, just say you're somebody else.' He never would. And he was always very kind to people."
I'm Benny Hill. I'm not going to play the music.
Dick Berg says he was a writer for the masses and he wanted to persuade them, entertain them, and be loved back by them. And part of that
Really?
love
Sorry.
came on a personal level through recognition, so that he was almost a hyphenated writer actor, if you will, and he rather enjoyed that. There are many of his snotty friends who thought that was a sellout time or childish. But actually, he was merely living out their fantasies. He figured, if you're going to do it, be the best. Be the best known and be the most highly paid. And all those came about through this star status, which he helped create.
I don't think it's fair to say that Rod Serling was a writer for the masses. I think that he wanted to share his idea with the masses, and to a superior extent above Gene Roddenberry. I think that Rod Serling certainly paved a way to introduce more thoughtful stories to a wider audience, but I don't think it was his stories and his desire to entertain. I think it was his desire to couch those ideas in entertainment that really impresses me when I watch these. And I've always known about them, but I've never gone through each one of them. And I know that there's a team of writers, but if you want to compare, like, I love Gene Coon, but if you're going to compare Gene Coon and Richard Matheson, I'm going to have to go with Matheson. If you're going to compare Rod Serling and Gene Roddenberry, I'm going to have to side with Rod Serling. I love the world building that happens in a continuity of Star Trek, but I think the diversity of thought and the splaying of stories is far more impressive when it comes to Night Gallery and the Twilight Zone and what Rod Serling did.
Well, it may seem that way, but isn't Star Trek sort of, even though we have the same cast every week, isn't the original Star Trek a bit of an anthology, since they're all episodic episodes, and we do get different morality and different stories from each
Absolutely.
episode.
Yeah, but again, I put them all on the same island of excellence.
Okay, good. I've never decided to elevate one over the other before. This is like, I can't do that right now.
Well, no, I'm saying I don't think I don't think that observation is offside.
Oh no, it's not offside. It's your opinion. You can have whatever opinion you want.
I do. I love She-Hulk. Buy me a She-Hulk.
Yeah, see?
See, I can be wrong whenever I want.
Well, and Twilight Zone also got some Emmys too. Just all in this first year, it's quite
Any acting Emmys?
Impressive. I don't know what they were.
Burgess
I
Meredith,
know.
probably. Your boy.
Yeah, my boy. He didn't. But you know what though? He refused to be. Wait, what was his name? That guy from the other week. Last week.
What? Norman Fell? No, Jack
No.
Klugman? No, that was 2 weeks ago.
No, I forgot
That's the
his name.
thing. And it's such an incredible stable of actors.
No, what? How could I forget it? It was Mr. Beavis. Mr. Beavis.
Oh, Mr. Beavis. He was great.
Yeah. Burgess Meredith refused to be Beavis. Because he didn't want to do the series.
Booker saying, and there it goes. Scotty always brings up She-Hulk. Well,
yeah, if he
when
wants
you're in
a
love,
She-Hulk,
you just can't hold it back.
Fine.
You just can't hold back when your heart swells. The thump, a thump, a thump is the drum of the galaxy. You demand the green.
Yeah, and so that's season 1. Season 1 of the Twilight Zone. Yay.
Delightful.
But so did everybody vote in the poll? Because I'm going to close it.
There was a poll?
There was a poll in the chat.
Okay, hang on. I was busy looking up yakety sax.
You found it.
There we are. You're looking up turn down the volume. Vote
I hear
on the
you.
thing.
I
There
hear
it
you
is.
twice.
Oh no, that's a terrible thing. I hate that. And I'm voted.
Good. Now everything is right with the world.
Well, I suppose.
So 59% voted for A World of His Own, and 41% voted for The Mighty Casey. And with 22 votes,
it seems that The Mighty Casey has struck out.
Yes. He's been beamed.
Yes.
I liked the only reason I liked The Mighty Casey is I learned a couple new baseball words. I already knew a little bit because my kid plays, but a couple of these I didn't know. Because no one's ever, fortunately, I haven't seen a kid get beamed on the field with a baseball bat. Dang. Like nobody's gotten conked in the head. So
it's the
good.
best. It's the best. There's nothing quite like seeing a 14-year-old get hit in the head with a softball. The sound, it's like a gong.
Yeah, and a shutout too. That's something you don't see in the little leagues either. So that's why I didn't know those particular words. No.
Bunch of panty waists.
There sometimes is. It takes a little while for the inning to change. That's happened before, but then eventually they get out. It doesn't last forever.
Oh, that's a good question, Gavin. What was the greatest episode of season 1? I know Jill's answer, I think.
Yes, you know my answer. It's still the same.
But there's I remember I said 2 or 3 times I said what my favorites were.
I know your favorite.
What is it?
Do you know your favorite?
No, I don't. Give me a hint.
It has to do with the trumpet.
Oh, yeah, I do really, really like that one. But I thought that there was one that was before Passenger for a Horn or whatever that was called.
Passage for a Trumpet, yeah.
Passage for a Trumpet. That was a great episode. But I thought that there was one before that I really hang on. Let me check. Do you have these in a playlist? Because you're really good at organization.
I'll bring them up for you. Here.
Okay.
Here they are.
Yeah, no, I got them.
Oh, okay.
I can't.
You got them?
Can't see the episodes. Why won't my... All right.
And so we'll remove this and we'll share this one.
Yes, please. Thank you. Hang on, I got a full
so-
screen. I know everyone's on the edge of their seat wondering what is Scott's favorite. The Purple Testament. What was that one? World of Difference, Long
Oh,
Way.
the Purple Testament. That's the war one. The monsters. I really love the Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, though.
I
That was fun.
did. People Are Alike All Over was pretty good, but I think it was farther down. Nightmare as a what? Nightmare as a child.
Child.
You know, I really liked. Oh, what was the one? The boxing one.
Oh, the boxing one was really cute. Big Tall Wish.
Big Tall Wish was really good. I think it was around there. A Nice Place to Visit, I did not like. Execution, I thought Execution was pretty rad. It's hard, man. Like going through all of these.
A Stop at Willoughby was a big one.
I know it was a big one, but it wasn't my fave.
Yeah.
Even the one, Stop at Willoughby. There was one. Where's the? There was. Oh no, it was a Stop at Willoughby. It was really good. That was the one where he goes and he's like, "Oh no, does Jeff work here?" I do like Mr. Beavis. Mr. Beavis was really heartwarming, but that's like in terms of the. There was a moment in season 1 where things sort of changed, and I wasn't waiting for the O. Henry, and I realized the variety of this show. And it wasn't just waiting for how it ended. It was a theme. It was performance. It was everything that it was like, no, this isn't going to be a cookie cutter of, oh, what happens at the end? And it happened after Time Enough at Last.
Time Enough at Last has.
What was it? World of Difference?
I don't think of it as O. Henry. I think of it as what would happen if the world ended.
Fucking guy loses his glasses. Sorry about the swear.
Well, I think of it more as. Well, it's just really poetic for me. As an introvert, it's very meaningful to me because sometimes I do like to get lost in a book or whatever I'm doing by myself, for myself, and just thinking, oh, what are all these people here for? They're just getting in my way. But in reality, if the world were to end, and I were all alone to my own devices to be by myself for myself, I would not last very long. And that's what Time Enough Last is important to me, because all the other people are very important, and I'm very glad that they're all here with me on Earth, and that we have not destroyed ourselves.
I think that my views on Time Enough at Last are no. So I appreciate and adore that you appreciate and adore.
Did you see the way he hugs those books? Like they're his best friends.
Oh, sure. Yes. Just not my favorite.
That's fine. Yeah, I know. But you always use it as a landmark of, oh, after this episode, the Twilight Zone got really great.
And we had so many fights about that in this season. And it's like, okay, we get it, Scott. It's not your fave. Stop yelling at my fave.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not yelling at your She-Hulk.
You've yelled at my She-Hulk several times.
I have?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, yes. I don't want to get into a fight. This is a celebratory time.
It is.
We're talking about something that is a staple, a signpost up ahead. And you know what that signpost is?
Well, the next stop.
Twilight Zone.
The next stop, season 2.
Of?
The Twilight Zone. Mage's Media Musing says, interesting. The Twilight Zone is the theme of my next live stream. I was just sitting here gathering trivia on the movie. Oh, you're doing the movie. That's great.
Awesome.
That's really cool. The Vandals play a song. They're like in a concert there. I love the Vandals. That's what I know about the Twilight Zone movie.
I just know about the dead people.
Mage's Meteor Museum says, I have several favorites. It's a Good Life was good.
See, and that's the thing. Jill knows, you guys know, people who are regularly scheduled subscribers to Jill's channel know that I have a memory like a sieve. I do my best. I enjoy in the moment. But then I wake up the next morning and I'm like, oh man, that sounds like it was rad. Did I enjoy it? And then Jill says, yeah, you had a good time.
You had a great time reviewing the
Yeah.
first season of The Twilight Zone.
Well, that's all I needed to know. 9 out of 10.
Really? 9 out of 10?
Sure. I always want to leave room for advancement. Like, nothing's perfect. Oh, that was Bill Mooney.
Good try. 9 out of 10 for effort.
That's season 3. We haven't even seen season 3. I haven't seen It's a Good Life.
Eye of the Beholder, that's a beautiful one. That one is going to be in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody, I hate to say it, everybody loves it, but everybody does, and I do too.
It's made of people.
Wrong movie.
Don't care.
You can't pick a best. Perhaps at the end you should list. You should tier list the seasons.
That's not a bad idea.
That might be fun. I'm not sure how to do that, but I'll get to work on it, Gavin. At the end of season 5? There are 5 seasons. Oh my god, that's going to be a massive live stream. I guess it's going to be my first 12-hour live stream about the Twilight Zone.
We'll do that on a Monday.
On a Monday at 9 a.m.
Yeah. I'll be able to pretend I have a job.
Oh no. Well, you never know.
Come on, it's kind of funny.
It is kind of, but you are actively looking. So
yeah, I look at them. I'm like, there's a job. There's a job.
I see you.
I see you. So I'm like a bird watcher.
Brogu says goodbye, everyone. Oh yeah, just 2 minutes ago. Enjoy the rest of the week. You too, Brogu.
I do have to go.
Is great.
I do have to go.
You do have to go.
I would like. Well, I can go and then come back if you want to.
Oh well, no. I wanted to go at around 2. How much time do you have left?
Well, I can be back in approximately like 2 minutes if you just let me go pee.
Oh, that? Yeah, of course.
Oh, that normal human action.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll be back in a sec. Just give me a sec.
That's acceptable. There we are. Hey, look, it's Jedi Master 2022, Lost in Space and Classic Sci-Fi. Hello. We're gonna have another Lost in Space stream next Monday, and we're not gonna play AC/DC's Thunderstruck this time because that got his channel taken. Not his channel, but the video taken down. All he has to do is clip out Jedi Master. All you have to do is clip out those songs, and if you go into your studio and let YouTube clip out those songs, the stream will come right back up. So I know you're new at this stuff, so this is something you can learn. You can learn how to do it, and it'll be good for your YouTubing in the future. Something every YouTuber's got to know how to do this. Clipping out copyright stuff or cutting it down a little bit. Like one time anytime my clips are too long, sometimes if it's 12 seconds, you can shave it down to 8 seconds and then the copyright claim goes away. So and Mage Media says I try to stick to public domain stuff, and that's cool too. That's a smart idea also. I saw that on your Looney Tunes stream. But I don't know about that Bosco guy. That is kind of weird. But he was the beginning, so he was essential to the creation of the Looney Tunes characters. So it was a little funny, but it did start up that really fun trend of the artist interacting with the characters. And oh, Gavin liked our stream. Hopefully, it's back up soon, and that'll be a good time. You know, I did have a good time today talking to you guys about the Twilight Zone, the last 2 episodes of season 1. You know, it is going to take a while to get you through the Twilight Zone, which is a good thing. I'm glad I have so much Twilight Zone left to watch because in the 60s they would make so many episodes, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they would make so many episodes per season that we were lucky enough to get 26, 30 episodes. And nowadays we'll get 10 if we're lucky. Sometimes they'll break up the episodes into 2 seasons and we get 5 or half seasons or what?
Yeah, but that's
why.
That's a changing of the television landscape, and even to call it television landscape is kind of naive because we're talking about a streaming landscape. Like, and also the expectation of the audience to make things more cinematic, like televisions.
I don't have that
the shape of televisions themselves have been transformed based on widescreen televisions. Like to talk about what had to be pumped out on a regular basis from early television going as far to like the early 2000s, like the heyday when you had Breaking Bad and The Sopranos and Mad Men, and like when you get to a certain point and then the entire model changed based on streaming and everything had to look like it was cinematic. So
well, when you're talking about the Sopranos or Deep Space Nine, even you're talking about TV going from episodic to serialization.
That's true too. That is true. But it's also when back when things were produced based on advertisers as opposed to subscriptions, like arguably HBO and Showtime and AMC, you had to go to cable and it was based on subscriptions, and that it had no real bearing on the what do you call them?
Well, you wanted a lot of episodes. You wanted a lot of episodes so you could get syndication.
Well, and it's arguably something that is similar to the YouTube distribution of today, is that if you want to maintain an audience, you have to release something every week or twice a week just to keep the audience coming back so that we can deal with the advertisers. But with streaming services, they don't gauge it. Like, obviously there are view counts, but it is about, okay, so how many more subscribers do we have because Amazon Prime released The Boys or Fallout or whatever, or like whatever, Disney Plus. Like, all of this is just based on, did we get more subscribers? Did we earn back more subscribers? They don't care about the quality of the product being released.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
But it is. But it's like when you look at the business that is show, it's like, how do we sell the art?
Yeah, but if they don't care about the quality of what they're putting out and they just care about filling up the streaming services with as much content as possible, whether or not what they're putting out is anything good. I mean,
I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other conversation.
Scotty, fix this all for me. I want better stuff.
You want better stuff? Well, then I would go back and watch the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. But also the other answer that everybody says is make it yourself. Well, okay, I guess I could try.
Well, and I'm the first person to say, like, I've spoken to you about bullpucky that I want to create, but I don't think it is as good as what is being created. Like, I think that there is so much art out there that for me to throw my hat in the ring and say, I can do better than they, it's like, I don't like if I made a Star Trek, it would be so fan servicey and by the numbers that it would be rote. It would be like, we've seen this before.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's
but I don't
true.
have the as evidenced by our discussions surrounding episodes. I'm much more drama and character centered than I am in terms of thoughtful science fiction.
Yeah, that's right. You'd probably, well, I don't know. You might have elements of both. You might make,
but I don't think that I'm that good. And I like this is.
I don't think I'm. I know I'm not that good because I haven't made anything yet.
Well, we've made some things.
Well, we've made some things talking about other things.
Yeah, I hope it provides value, and we do it weekly. Like
you're a good storyteller, Scott. You could make one.
And you're an excellent. You construct things so well. I think that you do an amazing job at holding everything together and production, and
I can organize.
Yeah, and I'm terrible at that.
Mage's Media Musing says the Orville is how to do Star Trek. Exactly. The Orville's fantastic, and I hope that we get.
But how many episodes a season?
Yeah, same deal. Just like 12 for season 1.
Yeah.
Season 2. So, but
it's not being pumped out to sell, hot pockets.
Unfortunately, the word is that they want Seth to say, yes, we're going to do not just season 4, but 5 and 6. So the studio wants to give him 3 seasons, but I don't know
6
what
seasons
Seth
in
wants.
A movie.
Seth MacFarlane, what do you want with the Orville? Why aren't you talking to us? We want to know. We're your fans and we love the Orville, and we know that you love the Orville. So what are we doing with the Orville? When is he did say season 4 that there will be more.
And
but
I'll believe
that
it
was
when
a
I
long
see
time
it.
ago. That was a long time ago. I want to see the sets being built. Star Trek. Bombadillo.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is Bombadil doesn't leave home. I got excited for the last episode that I released for Lord of the Rings because it got a Tom Bombadil name drop, and it was about the ponies who ran away when the Nazgul came and invaded the town, and the ponies knew to run away to Tom Bombadil and Fatty Lumpkin. And Fatty Lumpkin being Tom Bombadil's pony. Let's get another 4 seasons and a movie. Yes, exactly.
Oh.
That'll give us the perfect 7 Star Trek seasons and movie. I'm with you.
And that's the thing, Mage, I'm with you there. Mage's Media Musings, and I still want an Isaac action figure. I want Bortus. I want the entire crew.
Does your Bortus have to be able to lay an egg?
Well, it comes with an egg.
Max Redstone says, some might say this show is the bomb. However, I just say it's Scotty's fault. Max Redstone.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
No, this show was really good. This was a fantastic one, Max. I enjoyed it very much. I'm pretty happy with it. And we even rambled a little bit at the end here, which was really good. We could ramble a bit more, but I think both of us need to go do things.
Yeah, I gotta go knock over a liquor store and buy some weed.
Well, knock it over. Well, will you pick it back up after?
I'll set it back up again, like a tent in the forest after a windstorm.
Okay, good.
No crimes.
No crimes. Just it wasn't
just
your fault
poor
that it was
structural
so easy
integrity.
to push. It wasn't your fault. It was so easy to push over.
Yeah.
So that's all for this time in the Twilight Zone. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you, Scotty, so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What a perfect show. And part of that perfection also came from the chat. Thank you so much too. Oh yeah, have a beautiful day. Panel says Sigbaldison, you too. Bored us with the latch comb and 10,000 cigarettes. Yes, Captain
Yeah.
Blackburn.
That's why I have to go.
10,000. He needs to go. Wait a minute. They don't call it a replicator. In Goreville, they call it a synthesizer.
Yeah.
Matter synthesizer.
10,000 cigarettes and a bottle of wild turkey. I'm in Canada. They won't give me wild turkey anymore.
But a replicator can give it to you. Thank you, Gavin Blackburn. Max Redstone, thanks for peeping in at the end here. And Jedi Master 2022, I hope everything is well with Thor. Yeah, he says he's back from the appointment with Thor. Let's see who else is here today. Booger. Scotty always brings up the She-Hulk, yes.
Because I'm in love.
And Brogu. Brogu, we didn't get to talk much, so hopefully we see you again soon. And Jacob Ironside, great to see you. DJ Knight, Canadian Spider-Man. I might repeat a bit. Swift -1. Always makes, Swift -1 really knows how to use his membership emojis. He remembers that we have Eric's. And yes, we do also have the Twilight Zone here. Right there. And we have some Enterprises. And we have
and Jill's.
And the Mandelbrot set. Yes. And me too. So yes.
There's a song by what's his name? Anyway, there's a song called The Mandelbrot Set. And he refers to the Mandelbrot set, and I apologize for the swear in advance, one badass fucking fractal. And so I did want to
agreed.
shout out the Mandelbrot set.
It's wonderful. I did graphics and programming, OpenGL, Open Graphics in college, and I made a
Jonathan Colton.
Set.
Jonathan Colton sings the song. I've sent it to you. I'll send it again.
And it's just so much fun to zoom in and zoom in and zoom in until your programming fails you and you can no longer get further into the fractal. But I'm glad that you mentioned this, that you used your emojis, Matt G, because that reminds me of something that I wanted to do today, because we have a membership stream tomorrow.
Oh, man.
Yes.
You're working me like a donkey.
Well, you're busy tomorrow, I think.
I don't know yet.
Or maybe you're not. Well, it's up
I don't
to
know.
you.
I pay my $1. I should be able to come on. It's a member stream.
Yes, you are allowed. You did pay your ticket. You got your those little tickets they give you at the carnival.
Buy the ticket, take the ride.
Yeah. But I wanted to do something before I left regarding that, and it's for some reason difficult to do. Let me try this. Here it is. Oh no, not that one.
Is it going to be the yakety sax?
No, better than that.
Okay.
Something Bruce Lombardo did for me recently, but I wanted to do this once a month.
Lovely.
So we get a few more people who have not, who might have gotten a free membership before, or, might want to hang out with us tomorrow. Here's a few free memberships, one of which went to Deej Odyssey. I don't know that he'll show up tomorrow, but I really like him.
He's cool.
Jill Powers, the River Daughter, also got one. That would be cool if Jill came to Jill's membership
rad.
chat. Also, Bill. I want everybody that rhymes. I want everybody who rhymes with Jill to show up at the membership stream tomorrow. So we need to get a membership for Phil. Also, Philip's Gaming. Cam also received a gifted membership.
I haven't seen Cam in forever. He's a good dude.
I have seen him around. He pops in really quickly and then he leaves because he's got stuff going on. But
He's
he
Batman.
does. He's like Batman, yes. Also Small Time Republic. And so thank you. Thank me. And I hope you guys will
Thank you.
I
Thank
thank
me.
myself.
Thank anyone at all.
Jillception, yes.
That's
It's
the
only
way
truly
it should be.
Jillception. There's a third Jill, but I forget her handle.
Jill
need to go
St.
find her.
John. It's Jill St.
Yeah.
John.
Well, if we're going to talk about all the different Jills, then we're going to talk about Resident Evil. A lot of people talk to me about Jill Valentine and her sandwich.
Oh, I've heard of her.
Well, anyway, I think that's about enough for today in the Twilight Zone. Thanks again for everyone being amazing. And I hope to see you. If I don't see you at the membership stream tomorrow, I'll see you on Friday where we're going to talk about Xanadu. But
Hells yes.
the only last thing I got to do is ask Scotty what he's doing this week.
Tomorrow night, I'm going to be talking about the underrated and overrated superhero movies of the 90s with my good friends over at Cinema Gulp. And that's going to be tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and all of the other time zones. And then on Thursday, talking about Mission Impossible Fallout. And I will be trading in my masculinity to talk about Xanadu on Friday. And by trading it in, I mean leaving it at the door while I enjoy some of the sexiest sexually ambiguous stuff that has ever happened on film. And then,
just don't forget it on your way out. Yeah.
I got it. Yeah, no, I always do. I always forget it on the way out.
Oh, Max, I don't have yours yet. I'll put yours in there. I've been meaning to add you.
If I had money, I would buy you.
If you would buy Xanadu?
No, I would get him a membership. I would get him, one of the things. Isn't he a member?
He is a member. He's already a member, yes. He's been a member for how many months? Lots of months.
Okay. Well, then he can. Yeah, no, looking forward. It's a fake. Thank you,
it's
Kratos.
Fake, yes.
Is that the name of the
don't
monument?
Have that clip.
Yeah.
I don't know. He gets blown up.
He does. He gets murdered. Yeah. Way to go, Cisco. But I can live with it. I can live with it. Come on,
I am
man.
great.
I got places.
You're great.
I am great.
But I was told to play a clip.
All right.
Where is it?
You are great. I am great.
All right. I promise I'm finding my way to the edge of the Twilight Zone, crawling out. And I hope to see you guys again next Tuesday in the Twilight Zone. Seriously? Okay, now I gotta see.
Gazoon tight. Don't worry, Benny Hill's dead. He's not going to copyright protect us.
I don't know. I hear everybody using that song, so I think we'll be safe.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, and next up, season 2 of The Twilight Zone.
and the ways our differences combine to create meaning and beauty.
It has always been easier to destroy than to create.
May we together become greater than the sum of both of us.
Well, now you have something new to think about. Carry on.
All right, move along. Done. Stop it. Get off of the things. Go outside. Get some food. It's like, you know, it's a time of day where you live. Go do something. Shut up, Snoopy. I don't care. You smoke too much. Let's go. Let's go adventure. Let's go explore.